Okay, we are live. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining if you're watching live. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy this when you see it later. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to anyone who's watching. I am joined today by an individual that I have met from Clubhouse. He's been in some of the similar rooms with Darth Dawkins and a few other people, and you might recognize his username from some of the Tom Rabbit videos that have been highlighted. I have highlighted a couple of them, and he's been involved with some of the kind of internal drama that Darth has brought to that social network. His name is Fro. I'm going to let him introduce himself, and then we are going to start a discussion.
Hello, I am Fro. I am a confused person that likes to talk about religion. 5 weeks ago, I converted to Christianity. Then 1 week ago, I converted to Islam. And some days ago, I told everybody that I was actually uh, implied lying that I didn't convert to anything. I have a sickness that has to do with social media that does that I can become addicted, and therefore also I want to please everyone. It's called imposter syndrome or chameleon. So I'm really a hardcore atheist, but I change my colors according to who I talk to.
Well, that's okay. So now I am also a confused person. This is going to be an interesting conversation. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, what,
Yeah.
what will be fun is to see you jump from theology to theology. I hope that you do, just to keep me on my toes. Like, well, the Bible doesn't say that. Yeah, but what about the Quran? Oh, the Quran definitely says that. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So,
You know, it's been an interesting 6 weeks to say it that way. Yeah.
I think it's interesting, just sort of picking up on that idea that because I think that comes up in one of these videos
Mm-hmm.
is the general, like, if one of these guys in a Clubhouse or Discord, and I've seen it happen many times, I'm like, if it's a new person, I'm like, well, are you a Christian? And yeah, well, how
Right.
long have you been a Christian? If they say they've been a Christian for 10 years and they're already starting to you can hear them just sort of like chew that down a little bit, like, okay, well, all right, you've been a Christian for a decade at least. Well, you're not a very good one, right? But they'll just sort of begrudgingly
Right.
accept it. But if you say that you've been a Christian for the last 10 minutes, all of a sudden that's a bridge too far, right? They're just like, absolutely not. Like,
Yeah.
if you think about this, anyone, if you believe in some kind of born again conversion, especially if you're evangelical, then it stands to reason that at
Mm,
some point all of you were 10-minute Christians. You were fresh out of conversion. So yeah, I always think that speculation or that cynicism is a bit odd.
it's it's a very interesting thing because when so I'm openly also gay, and I find it hysterically funny how much problem I had converting into Christianity, but when I converted into Islam, it was like everybody was totally okay with me being gay. And it's so incredibly strange that all the negative feedback I got about like coming out as gay, I got from Christians, but the Muslims couldn't give two single kookadoos.
Hmm.
It is so weird. Yeah.
Yeah, and that might have something to do with, yeah, kind of the community where you're at. I know that in some of the areas that I don't know too much, but the state that I live in, we have a large population of people who were from the Middle East, from various regions, from various periods of time. Either came here as refugees or then settled later, because their
Mm.
relatives have been relocated and things like that. But they, I don't know that. I don't know how welcoming most of those communities, if, when they're practicing Muslims, how welcoming they are to like the LGBTQ community generally. Um,
At
I
least
don't
on
really engage
Clubhouse,
too much with them.
yeah. On
Yeah.
least on Clubhouse, they have been extremely welcoming to my sexuality, Uh, because I believed as a Christian and I believed as a Muslim that it was a sin to commit homosexual sex. So I guess that's where they drew the line was like if I had a relationship
Hmm.
and yeah. So as long as I didn't like act on me being gay, they were okay about it. So
Okay.
it's kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's see what, because you wanted to talk about something specific and it involved these 3 videos,
Yes.
and I do have them. So I guess the best thing to do, I will do this. So just to let people know, I have not edited these in. I will put the links for these 3 videos in the description once I edit them. I should have done that, but Fro and I were having a good chat before we went live, and I forgot to do it. But the 3 that he's interested in highlighting are 3 that Tom Rabbit had pulled before. This one goes back to just before Thanksgiving here in the States.
Mhm.
Darth kicks Fro out of his own room, and then there was. I think just after that, he had some unfinished business. It was more of to me, it just seems like Darth kind of obsessing over who did what to whom, and who's
Mhm.
more to. Of course, Darth was not to blame. Darth was 100% in the right. It was just about him lining up how much blame and vitriol to hand out to all these other people that clearly
Mhm.
failed him. And then the newest one is Darth Dawkins versus Fro and Nina. And in that particular one, that is one that I have not watched yet. That came out on Christmas Eve. And so we'll be
Nice.
taking a look at that for the first time. So I'm going to let you kind of guide this, Fro, because I'm not sure what parts you want to hit. I'll speed this up a little bit. To just 1.25. If anybody in the live chat has issues with understanding anything, just just type a comment in there if you want us to slow it down, especially if it hits something kind of contentious. I know that if it's sped up even slightly and people start over talking, it can sound like a chipmunk fest. But I think in this case, this one has a little bit. I mean, Darth usually overtalks people, but we'll kick this one out, and then I'll let you kind of like tell me, Fro, if you want me to like push forward, skip a step, rewind anything,
Mhm.
and then we'll go from
Sure.
there. Yeah, most of these are pretty brief, and then we can get into issues about how I covered this initially, anything you want to clear up,
Mhm.
misconceptions people have, and that kind of thing. So, all right, let's get started.
Cool.
Here we go. I'm going to keep that muted until his yammering ends.
Did you get
Acting
this,
out
Tom
loud,
Rabbit?
simply commenting to Jay Robin because maybe he's not familiar with Steve the Philosophist. Okay. Now, I'll continue where I left off.
Can I make a point just here?
Oh, yeah.
Do you mind pausing?
Sure.
So here's a fun fact. So if you see people on stage that are the moderators in this, it's me, Matt, and John. I had invited Darth on stage. I did not make him a mod. That was Matt that did that, and he wasn't there for the discussion. So I'm not really blaming Matt for doing that. But if you see that Darth is green here, I want to make it just very clear that I didn't make Darth mod in my room. I would have never done that. I did invite him on stage though, but he got Matt to make him mod. So that's
Okay.
the only thing I want to. Yeah.
And just for clarification, this was your room. You started. Can we
My
stop
room
Tom
is.
Rabbit? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so, all right, that should clear it up. I also wanted to say, Alex asks, I don't understand why you're not reviewing Darth versus TRN. I think you mean is that the realistic nihilist? I think that's his name. That's Josh. I do want to review that one if that's the one where he. You should do that review. Yeah, I do plan on doing that. I am behind on a lot of these, and so this one will kind of catch me when we get to the third video here. That will kind of catch me up. And I'm actually getting a little. I'm hearing a beeping noise. That could be my headset might be dying, but technical difficulties. We'll worry about that later. Okay. All right, here we go.
Now, Steve the Philosophist has a long history on Discord of being an overt atheist troll. Okay. And he gratuitously trolls. He just doesn't troll out of revenge. He just gratuitously trolls. When I came over here, I never once interacted or spoke with him, and every time I've been brought up on a stage where he's been present, he has gratuitously trolled. So this is the kind of individual that you're dealing with. So the next time you talk to them,
Because everybody
you know you're
trolls you,
wasting your
Darth.
time dealing with that individual. And that
I think it's interesting that he's making a distinction between types of trolling now, as if that somehow would it does. So
Difference, yeah.
the people who are engaging in non-gratuitous trolling, do they get a little bit of a break? I don't think so.
Yeah, no, it's so weird. Anyway.
Now, I'll just say one more thing and I'll shut up. Now we know that Haiti is not the honest person that she presents herself to be in her virtue signaling. Okay? She censored what I had to say. not because I was out of line with any room rules or whatever, and she lied about kicking me off the stage. Okay? Because if she didn't lie, then it was either Matt, John, or Frode. It's that simple. Okay? So now we know what we're dealing with Haiti. Okay? She puts on a public face one way, but
Can I tell you something about
her hand
Haiti?
in the cookie jar.
Sure, hang on just a
Did you
second.
block her, Darth?
Okay.
Let me pause this.
Darth,
I
did you
do have to switch out my headset here because
Okay.
I'm going to, let's see how I can do this. I'm hoping this doesn't, StreamYard can be a little touchy about this. Let me see. I'm going to mute.
Some waiting music for you people.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I do need, am I coming through okay? Hello, can you hear me? Am I coming through?
I can hear you, Puff. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Now, headset that I had, I didn't think that, I thought it was fully charged. Apparently it wasn't. So, let's see. But yeah, what were you saying about, oh yeah, you were going to say something about Haiti.
Oh yeah, me and Haiti are very good friends. So when Darth was saying this, I did not believe that Darth was being truthful about being sent to the audience by Haiti. I don't believe Matt and John did it either, and I know I didn't do it. So this is my theory. I think Darth did it himself because he has done that before to get some, to get some sympathy or just to get some attention.
Yeah.
And yes, this was an anti-Tom Rabbit stream. Right when we were recording, when you see the recording of this, I was a Christian, according to myself. But yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
So that's your stance on it. So we'll go from there.
block her from the room?
Okay. Yeah, I do have her blocked. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because of her previous hostile behavior toward me.
Can you please unblock her?
Okay. No.
Okay. Then can you please go out of my room?
She has a.
Then can you please get out of
This
my
is
room?
awesome.
Okay. Is this your room or is it Matt's room?
Yes. No, it's mine.
Okay.
I'm asking you, can you please go out if you didn't block her? Can't unblock her. I want her in.
No, I'm okay. Well, I'll be glad to leave, but I'm not going to unblock her because now do you understand?
Okay. Then you have to leave. Then you have to leave. Then you have to leave. Then you have to leave.
Don't be rude to me.
No, I said
wait,
leave.
excuse me. Did you tell me you
I said
Christian?
leave.
You know
I
what?
said you have to leave.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm going to move you down to the audience. You're going to be in a bunch of jerk. You're going to be in a.
I just thought that was such a dumb thing for him to do. Like, what are you doing?
I mean, here's the thing. Like the thing that wasn't recorded before this was we talked a lot about Darth having rules in his room, right?
Yeah.
So we were talking a lot about like the thing that I have complained about with Darth is like him kicking everybody down before they get to say what he says and things like that. So I made it very clear. This is my room, and this is also how I feel. Like you have to leave because somebody I actually like wants to get into this room, and she can't get into this room because you blocked her. So if I tell him my rules and he wants me to follow his rules, it should be very clear that that Darth should just leave because guess what? It's my rules. And when I ask him, he just kicks me out. That is very Christian of him.
Very. And you're not entirely sure who gave him mods in this particular channel?
Oh, I know that Matt made him a mod, yeah. But Matt wasn't actively in the room when he did it, so I'm not really blaming him.
Gotcha. Okay.
Obnoxious jerk. I'm going to give you a little taste of your own.
And now
that was amazing.
John kicks.
That was the best.
Yeah,
Thank you,
John
guys.
kicks him.
Yeah.
I did that only because this is Frode's room, and he gave you mod chip. I'm assuming
Wow.
someone gave you mod.
Amazing,
Wow.
right? Amazing.
Wow. Can you make me mod again?
So
Fucking
yeah.
hell.
So I'm just
What an
restoring the
asshole.
order of what it should be, Frode.
Jesus Christ.
You mod him. That's the problem.
He's
You mod
obviously
him.
upset with me, but I thought this was the right thing to do.
Now, again, like I said, we were talking about this. You modded him. Everybody wants to talk about how everybody here was nice to Darth.
I asked him very nicely to go away from my room, and he didn't want to go.
And this is the kind of person Darth Dawkins is. You mod him, he comes into your stage, and he kicks out the person who created the room. That's incredible. That's incredible.
Well, I'll tell you what, Frode. I didn't think that you would have anything worthy to be on the internet. And
that was fun.
Jeez. Yeah, it's. I think it's funny that like I think J. Robin is silent through this whole thing because I kind of wonder like, okay, here's your boy Darth making a complete bellend out of himself. Like,
Yeah,
it takes some grapes to go into somebody else's channel and drop them down into the audience like over nothing. Over like dude, you've been made mods kind of honorary in order to help kind of regulate the show, not to overthrow the person who started the channel because he wants to bring a guest in.
And John got so in trouble by Darth by doing that as well. Like in the back channel, like John told me after the fact that he got messages by Darth like saying that John wasn't a Christian and blah blah blah.
Oh God, yeah, of course. Well, and see, what you needed to realize is that Darth was actually helping you, Fro, because you're not supposed to spend time with Haiti, and she's not your friend. She's a spawn of Satan, and she is a stone in your path to cause you to stumble. Better to remove her from your life. Darth knows better. That's the one consistent thing. Yep.
Shoot, I got.
See, right now I'm getting a lot of back channel, but then
I bet he was.
Let's see. Heidi can't get in.
But I can only do it. I can only say this, Frode. I try to stay out of it because it was between you and Darth. But you demanded that he unblock Haiti, or else that I don't know if you know the features of how to even mod, but. Here's the last straw. When he sent you down, you're the creator of this group, right?
Yes.
And he sent you down as a mod because somebody gave a mod chip. Someone, someone sent Darth down first and foremost. We haven't figured that out, okay?
It'd be fun to re-edit this, and as John's talk, somebody gave him and just like do a slow zoom in on Matt's smiling avatar, because he's not there, just like you left this turd in the room, and then you left the room, and then someone stepped in it. Way to go, Matt. Way to go.
I feel somewhat bad for Matt here because it's like I'm sure he didn't do it with wrong purposes, and he has laid down like after that and said sorry to both me and Haiti. So I have absolutely no bad feelings towards Matt. Matt is a good friend of mine.
Okay. All right, let's push forward then.
When he was brought back up, then he blocked her, and then as a mod, and then he sent some other people down, I believe. And ultimately, when you demanded what you did, which I think is reasonable in the sense that this is your room, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he sent you down, that to me is not acceptable.
Well, I asked him. I asked him to leave the room, and when I asked him to leave, he removed me instead. Aren't you?
Well, there's
Yep.
Okay.
Who kicked me out? Who kicked me out?
Guess who?
Just tell me. I'm pissed.
Darth.
How?
Somebody made him a mod.
Okay.
Yeah, who made him a mod? Did you make him a mod,
Matt?
Yes, he sent me a back channel and told me to make him a mod, so I did.
Okay, bye guys. I'm out. Bye.
Oh, there you go.
And Haiti was so angry
we
there.
figured out who made him a mod.
She was so angry.
Who kicked him down?
Yeah, she definitely sounded pissed.
Oh,
right. And so
anyway, he's gone.
Maybe it was none of us three. I don't know. But in any case, so much drama. It's just incredible.
Love drama.
Who said that?
I love
You did,
drama. I
Todd?
said that. Yeah, it was a joke. Yeah, no, I hate it. I hate it, and I hate it. But yeah, at least I know I will be on YouTube tomorrow. That is fun. Getting thrown out of my own room. That is up there with the things I haven't had the pleasure of having happened to me.
So
It seems like that's a little bit of an oversight on Clubhouse's design, you know, because there's
Yeah.
something about the way Clubhouse presents itself as sort of this, like, it's sort of like a do-it-yourself podcast thing for beginners. Like, hey, you can just kind of go in here and it's audio only. You don't have to worry about showing up on camera, and you can just like start riffing on all these topics. You want to talk about new age stuff. You want to talk about politics. You want to get into absolutely DIYers around there, you know, talking about projects. So it's like, okay, well, that seems nice and everything, but then you get somebody like it just seems like they're like, okay, and it's going to be freewheeling and easygoing. We're going to have cool people on here having cool conversations, and then Darth appears, and then the programmers are like, shit, like, we need protocols in place for somebody like this, you know. He showed up and just started banning someone.
What I wish they did is like they made it impossible for the creator of the room to get kicked. I mean, I've seen it actually been done in other rooms as well.
Yeah, that seems like a big oversight to me. I don't think that should happen. I always kind of wonder about the way they kind of set these things up. You know, they kind of set up the protocols, I think, are based on maybe ease of programming, but not so much on like the psychology of like, hey, you know, if you've got somebody that's establishing a room, there is sort of a hierarchical order, because if you don't have that in there already, someone like a Darth Dawkins is going to come in there, tip the table over, kill the host, and then take the castle. You know, just like, I live here now, and then he'll say that, you know, he's owed that because the person that he overthrew was a son of Satan or something. You know,
right?
Like so it's like, yeah, you don't want to have to like design things around the lowest common denominator of human behavior, but you got to be prepared for it.
Anyway,
what happened with Haiti? She came back. She was angry, and then she left on her own. Is that what's going on?
Yeah. I'm trying to talk to her. She's yeah. I think she's a little bit angry.
Yeah, I think Darth Dawkins was also angry, and probably some of the guys that were sent down. There was a couple of people that were sent down. I'm actually eating breakfast, so I finished, but I'm watching all of this going on, and like, who sent me down? I don't know, but I can imagine who. It's not any of us three, and Haiti's not in the room, so you know. So anyway.
Yeah, I have to say, Matt, I'm very disappointed in that you gave Darth that mod man power, but sure, I forgive you. Okay, well, that sure was fun. Anyone else wants to talk about their atheism? I'm very interested.
Yeah, I'll talk about my atheism. My atheism. Even though I'm a godless heathen, I treat people. That's what I'll say.
I think you do.
Yeah, I think I do too. And I'm very upset by what just went down. I did not move Darth down. I would not do that in somebody else's room. My network was terrible. And at least 2 people knew that, because I was back channeling and saying, I can't talk, I can barely listen. So I'm pretty furious that I was just totally slandered, as if I didn't even ask to be a moderator, Frode. I would not throw my weight around in somebody else's room. So that's all I've got to say.
Yeah.
That's all I've got to say.
I will say, what's very odd is that there's only 4 moderators. I was eating breakfast, but I clearly saw Darth down there in the audience, and I immediately, texted Haiti. I asked her if she sent, because I couldn't figure out who else would do that, and so she said no. I believed her, and I still believe her.
Can I just say? Can I just say?
I just want to say that there are certain strange glitches that do happen in Clubhouse.
No. When he finds things difficult, he moves himself back down to the audience.
Okay, well, and that is something I've said to be.
What's up?
Yeah, and that is something I've seen before, that he has moved himself down to the audience just to get sympathy, or like I said, he wants the attention, and he says, "Oh, some of the moderators have kicked me." when he himself did it. So I personally think he did it just himself to get sympathy and
I don't find
attention.
that. And I mean, somebody might say, "Well, hey, that's not being very charitable to Darth." But Darth, who is a very much against, I mean, he is as against trolling as former First Lady Melania Trump was against bullying, and so I mean, he's made it a strong stance. He has no
Right.
tolerance for trolling or lying or any of this deceitful misrepresentation. But then he catfished Tom Rabbit by pretending he accidentally appeared on S.J. Thomason's YouTube thing, and it was a video clip of another YouTube user that had passed away. And so he used him in there so people would think that was him. And I think S.J. Thomason and a few other people there were in on it. So it's like, okay, well, if you're willing to do that, it sort of follows that you might be willing to, catfish people into thinking that you've been either bumped back down to the audience or kicked or banned. I know other people that are fans of Darth Dawkins, not to say that he's guilty by association, but have done that where I've been in a discussion. They've been in my channel. This was a couple of years ago. There was one guy who's a notoriously bad actor, and he would just start sermonizing and over talking. And after muting, he wouldn't stay muted. He'd click, he'd unmute himself. I'd put him in the back room so that I could finish a point, and then he leaves. I'm like, oh well, he just took off. He rage quit. Then 5 minutes later, he's launching a live stream talking about how the atheists muted and then kicked him, completely lying about like what happened. So
playing the victim card right away. It's like, yeah.
And nobody, no one else is really going to know because no one sees that. So it's my word against him. And they know that. So it's like, okay, well, I'm going to run back.
And I don't know who else it could be. I mean, Matt wouldn't do it. John wouldn't do it. I know I didn't do it, and she didn't do it. Like, I mean, she wouldn't pretend to be this angry if she did it. If she did it, I just think that she would have said, "Oh, I did it." Now she's like actually angry, and you can hear it in her voice how she does not like that people are blaming her. So,
yeah, and he wanted it to be her because then it's the atheist that fits his narrative. Yeah. Yep.
Yes. Anyway,
yeah, that's a possibility, Daz, but I don't know. That's what he usually does.
Who was the other moderator?
It was Matt,
me, and you. That's it. Four moderators.
Yep.
Now, I will say I did not realize I was moderator, so I could have possibly hit my phone and moved him down and never realized it. But then I got a back channel message.
It takes a lot of steps to do that, though, Matt.
Yeah, that's what well, mine just pops up. I can just hit somebody's thing, and all I got to do is hit move the audience. So it's just like literally 2 steps. But I don't think I did anything like that. I don't, because I didn't even realize I was moderator. I just knew I got a back channel message from Darth saying, make me moderator. I wasn't even paying no attention, so I made him moderator. And I was like, wait, I've got the ability to do a moderator. So I looked, and sure enough, I did. So I made him moderator, and I went back to work. So apparently it was going crazy. And then I started listening in, and I realized things were getting out of hand.
So, Fro, you got kicked out of your own room, right?
Yes. Yeah, Darth kicked me out of my own room.
Right. Right. Yeah, well, I guess we know who we can blame that for.
Yes, I mean, that was Matt's mistake.
Mistake.
I was.
All right, that's that one.
But I knew that you hadn't watched this on this channel before, and I feel that it's kind of important for what happens in the next conversations between me and Darth. So this is kind of like the base.
Yeah, and that I don't think I did highlight this one. I think I got into this one later on. Yeah, kind of out of perspective, because there have been some of these kind of drama ones that I haven't gotten into. I know Tom's done a few videos where he's had some conversations like Silver Star and stuff like that. Yeah, he's got a long one. I think Silver Star is only like a 43-minute video. That I don't think I even watched the whole thing. And I didn't. I don't really. I don't really do a commentary on it because there's nothing for me to really comment on. And it's one Christian kind of dressing down another, and so I could be like, yep, yep, totally agree. Wait a minute, and then it'll be one of those moments where he's like, we're justified in this because of Jesus, and I'm like, well, as an atheist, I don't care about that. I think you're justified in calling out Darth because he's just a jerk. And so, I don't think that that's really, informative commentary. So I don't want to, I didn't really want to waste anybody's time. It's just, Tom wants to highlight it for what it's worth, and I think that's, it's good as it is.
I agree.
Let's see, unfinished business with Fro. All right.
Yeah, so this is the one that you covered before, so I think we can go it's not long.
Yeah, this one's 12 minutes long. I think there's a long stretch at the end that doesn't. I think you're gone, and then it's just Darth, running his mouth, possibly, unless they kick him. I can't remember how this one goes. Let's see here.
Not a big fan of the flute.
Rabbit.
Unblocker. I want her in.
No, I'm okay. Well, I'll be glad to leave, but I'm not going to block her because now do you understand?
Okay. Then you have to leave. Then you have to leave. Then you have to leave. Then you have to leave.
Don't be rude to me.
No, I said
wait.
leave.
Excuse me. Did you tell me you
I said leave. I said you have to leave.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm going to move you down to the audience. Okay? You're going to be an obnoxious jerk. You're going to be an obnoxious jerk. I'm going to give you a little taste of your own.
This time it was.
That was amazing. That was the best thing you guys I needed.
I did that.
It still abuses me to this day.
He gave you mod chip. I'm assuming someone gave you mod chip.
Amazing, right? Amazing.
Wow. Can you make me mod again?
So I'll just respond with the order of what it should be, Fro.
Jesus Christ.
Fraud, you have Darth blocked. I know that for a fact.
Quick point I'm going to make here, and this is just because I dislike Tone immensely. The way he pronounces your name, it sounds like he's calling you fraud. I don't know if that's accidental or if he's doing that on purpose.
Yeah, no, he does that on purpose because he knows it annoys the shit out of me.
Okay, yeah. It just seems like in his gross. Okay, here we go.
This is why you're not being invited up here. You sat in the room one day just to keep Darth out of the room because you blocked him, didn't you?
Yep.
Do you see fraud in the audience, Darth? Can you?
Yeah, let's see if he wants to redeem himself.
I love the flexing going on here between Tone and Darth. Right? Yeah, that's what you did, didn't you? Yeah, he did. You also
that
left
110% correct Tone lock. I did that just to spite Darth one day.
And you did it out of the blue. Tone is the kind of guy that walks up to you and you punched that guy. You punched him in the face. And you did it. Like, yes, because he slapped that woman over his drink. That's why I punched him in the face. He attacked someone. Yes, you're right. I punched him. You're leaving out the circumstances. Tone has a mind like a what's the opposite of a steel trap? A rubber room? He's just
rubber room. Yeah.
So
anyway,
okay, come on up, Fraud.
Redeem myself. Fraud. Sure I need.
Yeah, you just said you recently became a born again Christian. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we had a woman, Haiti, who was a hostile atheist toward me. Okay,
hostile atheist.
Now somebody removed me from the room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, or the stage. I can't remember which it was.
Right. Yes,
it was either you or her.
Yes, I agree.
When I
okay,
covered
so
this one,
I agree here. I wanted to agree here right away because I wanted to hear what he said. Does not mean that I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think as this one goes on, there's this point where I think he thinks that his logic is undeniable. It's like, well, I've ruled out these other guys. Well, and we'll get to that. I don't want to spoil it. Not that I'm
spoilers.
This is just an example of like, okay, this is how this guy thinks. It's like watching like a bigot work through their bigotry. Like this is how I'm going to, it's like, it couldn't be this person because I don't hate them, and it can't be that person because I don't hate them that much. It must be this person because I hate them the most. It's just
Okay. And did you do it?
No.
Okay, so she was outright lying about it.
Sure.
Yeah, and so through back channels, I had somebody question you, and you said you didn't do it. Okay,
right.
That's why I wouldn't block her.
Sorry?
Because she kicked me unjustifiably.
Sure. And then you kicked me
Okay,
out
so
of the
why,
stage.
if you're a Bible-believing Christian now, why are you siding with these miscreant atheists?
What do you mean? I am not siding with anyone.
No, you side with them when you give them special treatment.
I didn't give them special treatment.
Okay, did you know? Did you
yeah,
know?
can I ask you
Did you
something?
know that she removed me from the room?
Can I ask you something
No.
here? Do you think?
Of course,
I
you had to have
gave
known,
Hades
because there was only two.
my
There was only
treatment?
2 other people in the room.
There was 4 months.
Wait a minute. I came back. When I came back,
Yeah.
it was just you and I think John Lee.
Yeah.
Okay. John Lee said that he did not remove me from the room. I asked you
Can
if
you
you
hear me?
removed me from the room, so it had to have been her. And I said this to you.
And then you kicked me out of my own room.
So I don't know, Fro, if you're a fan of sort of like the parlor mysteries where, you know, you have to reveal at the end, kind of the Agatha Christie, kind of, you know, where they get all the suspects in the room and they talk about it. I feel like Darth Dawkins, that's not his calling. Like he would, he would do terribly.
He's the worst. He's the worst detective in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, he brings in everybody and he's like, so we know it wasn't you, and we know it wasn't you, and we know it wasn't you, and it's like all of them did it. What? All of them killed someone. Yeah, he's just, he's the worst. But yeah, is there? So I thought this was weird. Like he's trying to eliminate this. It was pretty clear to me that there were like people. There were 4 mods, I think, including him, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was you, Fro, and then there was Matt, who had stepped away, and then John.
So yeah, it was me, Matt, John, and him. That was the 4 mods, and she also had mod power. So she was a mod when he was thrown down to the audience, or walked down to the audience, whatever you believe.
Gotcha. All right, here we go.
Boom.
That's right. I sure did. Because you're an ass.
Oh.
Now, yeah,
it was my room and my rules.
Hey, listen, you can laugh all you want, big boy. Listen to me carefully, right?
Big
Haiti is
he justifies his behavior by being, you know, he's not being hostile. He's being aggressive. He's not being an asshole. He's being assertive. You know, like because he's the, you know, this is when he reminds me of John. What's his name? I'm blanking on his name, but the big guy from The Big Lebowski. Right. The guy with, you know, what's his name? Walter. Yeah. When he's, am I the only one who gives a fuck about the rules? You know, this is what Darth reminds me of, right? Like he's the only one that cares about decorum until he violates it, and then somebody's like, "You completely stepped on your own dick here. You totally contradicted your stances." And then he's like, "No, it was you were being an asshole." Like, okay, so Fro is not being assertive in his room. He's being a jerk to Darth. So
yeah. And I also love how he calls me big boy. I mean, who doesn't want to be called the big boy by Darth Dawkins?
Yeah, who doesn't want to have something like that said to them by a 60-plus-year-old man? Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, sexy.
Yeah, even Kevin picked up on that big boy. Like, ugh.
Typical, atheist. Okay. Now, she kicked me out of the room, right, for no reason. Right, I didn't do anything wrong, and then she lied about it. Is that not?
And then you did something wrong.
Excuse me.
So what is the difference between you and her?
What did I just say to you before you came up on stage?
What is the difference between you and her, Darth?
No, you don't listen carefully, do you?
I just kicked me out of my own room.
I said, listen carefully.
And you call me an ass?
If you please don't overtalk me.
You're the fucking ass.
There we go.
That was a good shot. But this is the point. Like, how many does Hercule Poirot does not have to remind people that he's talking. He captivates the room when it's time for the reveal. Yeah. And here Darth is like, he can barely hold your attention, and he's talking directly to you. But he's just muttering such inane, like, this is such, like, he's just wallowing in his own victimhood. Still, like, you know what you did, and you knew it was wrong, and all you had to, like, nope, you're right about the first part. I know what I did. Wrong about the second part. It was not wrong. Yeah.
I also find it interesting, like how he doesn't want to answer my question about what he did to me, because in his mind it wasn't wrong. Like, in his mind it wasn't wrong kicking me out of the room. And when I ask him what about what you did, he doesn't want to talk about that.
Right. Yeah. No, he doesn't want. Yeah. No, because at the end of the day, he was being assertive. He was standing up for himself. Because you were being a bully, and
oh, bully, oh, poor Darth.
And I mean, he already suspects that you're not a quote unquote real Christian because Haiti is you're friendly with Haiti. So that already like raises one eyebrow, and then his other eyebrow was up because you rejected him from the room, which means you're being abusive to Christians, which you might just be a full blown Satanist. So, and I guess once he lays that out, he just sits back and expects your apology. I await your acknowledgement and your eventual apology. Give it to me, and then when you're like, yeah, no, I think you're being a fucking ass. I'm like, oh what? What?
And also, I love that he's like, oh, he cursed at me? I never cursed at anyone. Have you ever heard the Darth Dawkins rant when he swears? Like, wow.
Yeah. He's quick to judge somebody for the potty talk, but then he excuses himself. Sometimes I use strong language when I get a little
But
in
I'm
the
not
flesh.
allowed to say but I'm not allowed to curse to him.
And no one else can be justifiably, indignant about say being removed from their own Clubhouse room. At the end of the day, he kicks you out of your own room. Yeah, for just as an example, just crazy hypothetical. But think about this: what if you,
now,
I can't curse Darth. He's the only one that can curse.
I'm trying to have an adult conversation with you. Why do you keep on?
You call me an ass.
That's because I can demonstrate it.
You can demonstrate that I am an ass.
Please,
and you can you demonstrate that you were not an ass, Darth?
Please do not overtalk me.
Why not?
Because I'm a moderator, and I told you not to do it.
Okay, and you didn't comply to my rules. You did not comply to my rules, so why should I comply to yours?
Listen to me carefully. Okay?
That's a good question. Hey, asshole! Why should I complain to your rules?
I'm being very patient. Okay, I could have and should have removed you, but I haven't so far.
Yes, do it then.
Now, please do not.
The only power you have in your fucking mind.
Please do not stop being rude. Okay.
Why? You were rude to me the last time we met.
Are we going to have a conversation about this? Or are you going to continue to interrupt me?
Why should I respect your rules when you didn't respect mine?
This is your last chance.
Answer the question, Darth.
Answer. I have to mute your microphone. Okay, I muted your microphone.
It begins.
Now, I asked you if you want to come up and try to redeem yourself in regards to myself and other people that are my acquaintances.
Sure, redeem yourself.
Now, listen to me carefully, okay? Haiti removed me from the room for no reason whatsoever other than the fact that she did not like me.
Sure.
When I inquired about who did it, okay, it had to have been either you or her. You're telling
according to you, yes. I think you did it yourself, to be honest.
Listen to me carefully, okay? I am exercising extreme patience here.
I
want you to tell me, as God is your witness, you did not remove me?
Nope.
I think it's interesting because you're like, I think you did it. He didn't seem to react that strongly to that. Yeah. But I know later on somebody, I don't know if it was one of Tom's videos where it was recorded or if I saw it later, somebody echoed.
Yeah, John had brought it up to Darth.
That's right.
In another video. Yeah.
Yep, that's right. And then at that point he seemed to get a little triggered by it. Then he got pretty indignant. But yeah.
Okay.
Why would I?
So then Haiti was lying to you?
Oh, why would I remove you? I had absolutely no reason to remove you.
Frode, was Haiti lying to you?
Yes.
Okay, she was outright lying. She kicked me unjustifiably from the room.
According to him,
she doesn't like me. Okay.
So at the time, did you think that maybe she was lying about it?
No, I was thinking I am going to answer yes. According to him, Haiti lied.
Okay.
Because that's the only worldview that he wants to say out loud. Like he's not willing to have another worldview. So I was like, sure, she kicked you out. I didn't believe it, but yeah.
Okay. That's kind of what I thought, but I wanted to clear that up because that was one thing I was like, I don't know if Fro actually believes this, or I think he's just saying this so that Darth will kind of continue down this train of thought because he's not going to give it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're right.
Okay? She
Right.
lied about it. Then I was invited up.
Yes.
You want me
Not
to
by me.
unblock her?
Not by me.
You
by the
want
way.
me to unblock her? Okay.
Yes.
When she was behaving badly, as in not only was she behaving badly. Hold on a second.
Actually,
Okay.
the
Not only
wording I said.
would you? I'm talking
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
She was behaving badly as an atheist. Just simply kicked me off because she doesn't like me.
Mhm.
As a moderator, she abused her moderation.
Mhm.
Okay. And then when I was invited back up, I was returned to the stage where I was before. You wanted her back in the room, even though she abused her mods and she was abusing a fellow Christian. Now, do you know that the Bible says, it says, do good unto all men, especially those who are of the household of faith? So you were going to kick me out of the room because I wouldn't unblock somebody who has...
It almost sounds like Darth is going to use that to justify special treatment for Christians.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is not really the intention of that, but whatever.
Given me a hard time as an atheist, and she abused her mods by kicking me out and lying about it, yet you wanted me to unblock her?
Well, I set my premises when I asked for it. Instead of you following it, you kicked me out of my own.
You know why?
My own stage.
Because you were not acting properly as
according
a Christian.
To you. According to you.
According
yes.
to me. That's right.
According
to me and other Christians.
Yes.
If you're going to be a defender of the Christian faith here on Clubhouse, and your profession of faith is genuine, then your profession of faith comes into question and doubt when you are citing not only just with unruly atheists, but atheists who are abusing their moderation, and then they lie to you about it, and then you're siding with them.
But he's completely neglecting the fact that he abused mod powers by kicking you out of your room. The lack of self-awareness here is telling. Yeah.
He's skipping the whole point of me being angry at him in the first place.
Yeah.
So I was acting. To be honest, I didn't. So
did I cut you off there?
No, I was. According to him, he was saying that I was acting bad in my own room. Like, okay, cool.
But his calculus is interesting because he's basically saying that he's justified in being angry at you, and you have to defend yourself because you weren't weighing the situation and determining the value, the value of the behavior. It was who it came from. Yeah. And since you sided with the atheist, or at least that's how he sees it, you're automatically in the wrong. So it's just like, okay, so if like.
Cool.
This is why no one trusts Darth, because no one can, his ethics are shit.
When this thing happened, when you were kicked off the stage, at that time there were 4 moderators in the room.
No,
do you agree to that?
There was only 3 people. We narrowed it down.
Nope.
I remember this vividly.
Well, it was Matt, John,
me,
and Haley, right?
I'm talking. It happened as soon as it happened. Okay.
Yes.
I immediately contacted John Lee, and I said, "Who's on stage right now?" And he told me.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Now, that meant that it could only have been either you or her. So
or it could have been
are we in agreement? Please do not. Why do you?
It's funny, or it could have been him, like you mentioned, or it could have been it could have been some kind of system glitch, like John had suggested.
Right.
Which was something that Darth No. I don't know. Maybe he's like, I don't know. Maybe he's getting paid by Clubhouse, but he's like, no, that couldn't possibly happen. It couldn't ever be the case that a social media site might be a little glitchy.
Yeah. No. Not this social media app. No,
not this one. Because this one started on iPhone, and Darth loves Apple, so it must be secure and completely consistent. Like, okay, all right. So it must have been a human that did this to you. So there was a malicious intent behind this. And you're just determined, like, who's most likely to have malicious intent? The godless heathen in our midst. Like, okay.
Oh yeah.
You can't escape that logic. I mean, it's rock solid.
You persist and keep on over talking me
because you don't get the facts correct.
No, sir. What fact have I gotten wrong?
That John and Matt was not there.
No, that's it. That's incorrect. John's not going to lie about a detail like that.
Well, they were, sadly. Okay. You can see it in the video, actually. If you look in the video on YouTube, you can see that both Matt and John are moderators.
Oh, Matt would never have kicked me.
I'm just stating the fact.
No,
that
you're not
Matt and
understanding.
John.
I'm trying to point out to you. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't dispute that you say that Matt was there, but Matt would never have kicked me.
He did.
Okay, John. Then.
Like 5 minutes ago. 5 minutes. Stop it there for 2 seconds. Like 5 minutes. Like if you rewind it, like 2 minutes ago, he just said there was just 2 mods in there, me and Haiti. And now that I said to him, "Oh, look at the video. There's 4 mods in there." He's going backwards. Like, "Oh, I know that Matt was there, but he wouldn't have kicked me." Like, hello, stick to.
Yeah, it's as if he's like, oh, okay, well, there were only these mods that would do it. It doesn't matter that anyone had the potential to do it. No, I have already ruled out that they couldn't have done it because I just know. Yeah.
So he's straight out lying here. Like he's straight out lying, and I find that extremely interesting. Anyway.
I did want to say, Clay asked me, what is the painting on the side? I forget the name and the artist. I was trying to find it. I don't know. I had it before, and it's not in the properties. I pulled it up off of like an art share thing, so it was a free image to use. And I kind of had it saved in some photos and stuff, so I used it for this one. But yeah, I didn't really use it with any kind of rhyme or reason. But yeah, I wasn't able to find it in an image search either. So if anybody recognizes it and knows who did it, let me know. I used to know, but I couldn't tell you now. Anyway, here we go. Strange aside, but
no.
And you know that for a fact?
I have good reason to believe he's telling me the truth.
See that this is the part that I think is interesting, because he's like, well, no, Matt said he didn't do it, and John didn't say he did it, so therefore it follows that it must have been either you or Haiti. Okay. How does that follow? Like, so John and Matt couldn't lie or wouldn't lie? Well, they wouldn't lie to me. I'm Darth Dawkins. Like, how sure are you of that? Because John dropped you after you dropped Fro from his own channel. John kicked you for what you were doing. So, I'm not going to accuse John or Matt of being liars, but this idea, like, oh, well, they wouldn't lie to me. Like, I would lie to you if it well, actually I wouldn't, because he's going to abuse me anyway, so I'm just going to be bluntly honest with him. But if I'm a Christian and I'm dealing with this guy and I don't want to have to eat a bunch of shit from him, yeah, I'd tell him some white lies just to get him to move on, because clearly, like, okay, look at this situation, he hasn't had a resolution with it, and he went on, my guess is he went on about this for weeks. Yeah. So, like, and that's what people trying to, like, you know what, it happened, maybe just move on. No, like, oh God, okay, we're just gonna obsess over this until somebody gets the electric chair. All right, Jesus.
Okay, do you know
now here's the bottom line is, no, we had good reason. We had good reason to suspect an atheist who has acted in bad faith. Right. And so you're going to kick me, not because I did anything bad, but because I was exercising the prerogative to block an atheist who has treated me badly before.
What does that have to do with kicking you out of your own room?
I have no clue.
That has nothing to do. Like, I mean, it's almost like he's saying, like, oh, you're just ticked off because I was mean to an atheist who you happen to be friendly with. Like, no. Yeah, this is weird. I don't know that I picked up on that before. It's just really...
Yeah, no, I find it very strange.
Yeah.
So what you are doing is you're siding with the badly behaving atheist.
Over you, yes, anytime, because I don't think you're a Christian.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Goodbye. You're gone.
Bye.
Yeah.
Love you.
Love you. It's the best thing I have ever said to him. I'm so happy. I was like, love you. Oh, so funny.
Yeah. I don't believe his profession of faith at all.
Okay.
He knew. Hey, look.
It's only blaspheming the Holy Spirit if he's got it wrong.
Yeah.
I love how quick these guys are with this. I don't think you're a real Christian, and I don't think so you're what you're saying is that the Holy Spirit has not worked in this person and regenerated them Are you sure you want to commit to that?
Yeah. In this case,
Now,
he was right, but
he was right because yeah, you switched teams to Islam, so now he's going to see you were never but see, you were never even a Christian, right? Like you weren't even really entertaining it. So yeah,
right,
yeah, you were just trying to you were a stealth. I don't even know what they call that. Yeah, I like how you
stealth
can't.
Muslim.
Yeah, you were a stealth Muslim. Yeah, you were a Christian. You were a Muslim, but in Christian garb. Which, as you know, like American Christian garb is khaki everything. You know, just tan everything.
I knew Haiti was lying. Okay, John has removed me from the stage in other rooms, and I'll just say, "Did you remove me back then?" And he'll go, "Oh yeah." Mm-hmm. In fact, he's removed me when he's the only moderator. Okay, so he has nothing to hide. By the way, you know, don't trust Frode. I think he's one of these snakes. You know, he's professing to be a Christian. By the way, did you get that Tom Rabbit?
So, and now of all the things that you've done, now that you have converted to Islam, now Darth can go around and say, well, I was right about him all along. Of course he's a snake. He's converted. Because, I mean, Islam is basically just Satanism, right?
Oh, yeah.
as far as he's concerned, it's not like, oh, Darth.
So,
okay.
We need some preparing for this next clip. So before we listen to the last clip we have, I have to preface it with, this is after I became a Muslim, but before I deconverted back to atheism. So this was when I still was a Muslim. So we just have that.
Oh, okay. I think I misunderstood. So you had kind of converted to Christianity. You converted to Islam. Now you've kind of gone back. Now you're kind of leaning more atheist.
Right. Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. I thought you were still, exploring Islam.
No.
Okay. No. Okay. Well, I'd say welcome back to the team, but it doesn't really work that way.
Welcome back to the devil team. Yes.
The worst thing about being an atheist is there's really no such thing as a team, you know, because it's like, you know, there's the Christian kids at their table, there's the Muslim kids at their table, and then out in the parking lot are a weird group of misfits smoking cigarettes. Those are the atheists.
Right. Or goths, as we called it when I went to high school.
Yeah, could be close enough. Yeah. Like, hey, I think I'm on you guys' team, and they all look at team. Team? Don't try to join things. What the hell?
Yeah. So, but we have to have that. We have to have that in mind when we talk about it, because Darth is going to give me some arguments against Islam. So, so people don't find that very strange. And this is after I have had very backlash for 3 weeks, like people calling me the scum of the earth, people calling me that I will burn in hell because I'm a homosexual. Also, I'm a vegan and a pacifist, so that's...
Oh, God. You're practically sprinting to hell. Yeah.
I know.
I mean, you might be getting everything right in this world, but you don't understand how God is like Rush Limbaugh, and everything that you're doing is making him super angry.
I know. I'm also a socialist and Democrat, so there's also that. Yeah.
Oh boy. So yeah, you believe that there can be a competent administrative state that can, like, you know, handle things handle the public welfare. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
No.
It's almost like I live in Norway or something.
It's almost like a little bit of this is that I'm a product of my environment, where the state does function a little bit sufficiently and competently. Yeah.
It's almost like I live in a welfare state where everything works like that, but who cares about that?
Yeah. As opposed to the United States, where we assume that anything that gives people things, oh, that's a welfare state, and that's gonna make everybody lazy. It's like, as opposed to ravenously impoverished and deprived. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I know, it's so disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I find interesting about the kind of the American mentality, without getting too much into that, is sort of the idea, like, if you follow a lot of like conservative logic about that, it's like, well, you know what the best motivation for gaining wealth and making yourself self-reliant? Hunger. And I'm like, yeah, but what if they start eating people? Like cannibalism might be something of a side effect you hadn't thought about. Like that could be a sign of societal breakdown. Like, oh, I guess maybe.
I love one of the comments here where it says, "Next Fro will telling us that he values people." Yeah, I do.
It's disgusting.
I know. It's it's so.
If we learned anything from
So
Jesus,
awful.
it's that Jesus said, I think, in the Gospel of John, "Scrape them off, you're better off." Fuck the poor.
Yeah. It's like, you want fish? Go and get it yourself, motherfuckers.
Or like,
I will.
Said. Oh, you want this magic fish basket? Well, as it turns out, I'll let you guys have it, but it's 2% for every fish that you get. It's 18% for every month. That vig is compounded, and if you can't pay up, then I will break your hands. So the other thing to mention too, I think, so Tom had done a video, I think, before this one came out, because this might be his most recent one. He did one where Darth Dawkins and Nina kind of have a little back and forth. It's a short video, but he kind of upsets Nina.
Should we watch that first? Actually, I don't mind.
But let me take a look and see which one, because I'm not sure how much further back that one is, but yeah, that I know it's pretty quick, because I
think it's called Darth Makes Another Girl Cry.
Yeah. Yep. And it was interesting to me because I'd seen her around before, because I play around with Clubhouse a little bit, and I've seen her in some of these
super
groups.
Nice. Yeah, she's super nice, and she's become a very good friend of mine.
Let's see, where was that one?
Because that's one you haven't shown on stream before, is it? I don't think so.
I'm not actually finding it, because I found a few in here.
Let me see if I can find it and send you the link.
8 days ago.
He deleted it? Could be
that he might. Yeah, he may have taken it down, because I don't see it anymore.
Hold on. Because it's after.
I thought it was after our discussion.
Yes.
Yeah, he took it down for some reason. Oh, maybe she asked him to take it down. I don't know. But he's got this one up with you guys, and this was just from 2 days ago. So I'm not sure. Yeah, let's just watch this one. So yeah, the only thing I can really say is I know that Nina is in the Clubhouse community. I know that she's a believer. She's a Christian. And she had some issues before. In the previous video that Time Rabbit took down for whatever reason, she had stated that she did not like the treatment she was getting from Darth, and she compared it to treatment that she was getting from atheists. I suspect who atheists and in different Clubhouse channels, which I was kind of curious about. So here's this video from just a couple days ago. This is Darth Dawkins versus Fro and Nina. Let's see here. Why is that not sharing out? There we go. Okay. It's giving me some audio issues. All right. Chrome. Okay. There you go. All right, there it goes. Yeah, for whatever reason, it didn't want to. It either wasn't playing through, or the not the sound, but the video for whatever reason wasn't appearing. Now it's working fine now. All right, and
so here's an interesting fact in the chat here. Next video he did with her avatar was blurred. Maybe she asked Tom to take it down. Yeah, that could be.
Oh yeah, that might be it. Yeah, I've had people ask me that. I had a guest on once that was live, and he didn't realize that his avatar was showing his. I think part of his his username, not his. It wasn't his username. I think it was his real name. And so I went through and edited that and clipped some stuff. So yeah, it happens. Yeah, that makes sense.
Of how I left Christianity, and a little like why I left Christianity and became a Muslim. So one of the reasons I left was that I felt there was a lot of hypocrisy. Is that the English
Hypocrisy.
word? Yeah. Yes, thank you. In the Christian faith. And one of the things that got me of thinking of that is, I mean, Redefine here called rape victim playing that was raped playing the victim card. Do you think that's a nice thing to say to someone that's raped?
Well, so I guess, like, I don't know where this is headed, but the first thing I would say about hypocrisy, my friend, you will quickly find the grass is not greener in other pastures. So, be prepared.
I agree. I agree with that, but
yeah,
still you associate with people saying that rape victims and when they bring it up are playing the victim card. I mean, you have the boss himself here.
Yeah,
Darth
so
Dawkins that said that.
Yeah, so I don't know anything about this conversation, but generally speaking, I mean, it doesn't sound like something I would say. Just for a matter of fact, I am sure in the history of the world, there are some, I don't know, victims that then played the victim card and used that to, I don't know, benefit something from that. That doesn't discount the thing that was done.
So
right,
think
right. Hey, hold on. Wait. I'm just trying to cover my bases because I don't like talking about individual people, but I also want to be real, right? So it's a very emotional topic. How dare you condemn a rape victim, right? And, I can't think of anything, but I'm sure just playing the odds in the history of the world, that would have been rightly called. So this situation, I have no idea what happened. I don't really want to know what happened, but assuming it's, the overwhelming amount of the time, of course, you would not identify a rape victim as, playing the victim card or whatever you're saying. So I would think, the overwhelming majority of the time, that would be it. Yeah. So
I think for somebody who started out like Nate saying, well, you know what, the other sides do it too, should be a little bit quicker in acknowledging, like, if some Christians were telling someone who had essentially revealed that they had been raped, then maybe just kind of like take that. It kind of feels like Nate here is doing a little bit of playing defense for Team Christianity, and like, oh, okay, well, there's this that can happen. Like, just like you already are like, oh, there's hypocrites on all sides. Okay, then just acknowledge the hypocrites within your own camp, and then move on. This seems like a little bit of tap dancing.
I also feel like that's a cowardly way of handling it, saying like, oh, your side is also having problems. Okay, does that change what happened? Does that change what really went down? Like, I don't really understand that argument.
But the level, like, say, let's say that it's a group of atheists that are on there, and somebody, in that, amongst that group, someone says something. Let's say it's a Christian or a Muslim comes out and says, well, I was attacked, I was sexually assaulted at some point, and someone was, don't play the victim card with me. That atheist is probably going to get rebuked so quickly by those other atheists that it'd make your head spin, and probably elicit accusations of, quote, cancel culture from some of the more conservative American Christians watching that. I'm like, oh, we'll see. They can't even speak their mind without their atheist buddies trying to cancel them out and pull their channel. Like, no, that's not really the thing. If somebody says, look, this to me is one of those things that and I've seen some skeptics do this kind of thing. If somebody tells me that they're a Christian, I accept it. If somebody tells me they're a Muslim, I accept it. I don't wring my hands over the fact that I think they could be lying to me. I don't care. If they're lying to me, then they're lying. They might be lying to themselves. They're not getting anywhere. So, like, if that's their experience, and that's what they think that they identify as, then they go ahead. We'll talk about that. But if somebody, if somebody says, yeah, I was raped, 5 years ago, I'm not going to sit there and play cop like, yeah, but was it really that way? Like, that's not productive. Like, just accept the fact that they were. If someone says they were launched into space, you have reason to be skeptical about that, right? But people being physically assaulted and sexually assaulted is unfortunately common enough that if somebody admits to it, especially in a group of otherwise strangers, you can just sort of accept that that's kind of true, unless they start kind of contradicting themselves or behaving unusually. Yeah, so this it's just I've never really understood that and because I've seen it happen before. So and so claims they were a victim of sexual abuse, but I'm skeptical of that. Well, fine, but shut the hell up. Like, you know what I mean? Like it. Okay, like if
were you there?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe I'm skeptical of somebody's claims about sexual abuse or something like that. But if it's happening on the internet, I can be just as skeptical about the reality of their own name. Like, I don't know them, right? I only know what they choose to present to me. So for the purposes of the conversation, I'm going to engage with what they've presented to me until I start seeing things like contradictions or blatant inconsistencies. Otherwise, it's like, look, okay, if somebody starts breaking down, getting emotional, and recounting an issue of past trauma, probably happened. It's just, it's unfortunate that level of assault and abuse from other people is common enough. Like, you can just sort of accept
it. My point of asking this is, I like Nate. Like, Nate is very cool. Matt
he doesn't seem he doesn't seem he's definitely not.
But Nate is very, very like calm, and I have had many discussions with him, and I do think that it's fair asking him, why are you breaking bread with all those Christians that like are behaving in a wrong way? Why don't you try to like talk to them instead? Like, he has both Redefine and Darth on stage here, and I find that a little strange when he knows how much those two people are hated by other non-believers or non-Christians or Christians and alike. It's like we have two very like bad ambassadors for Christianity in Darth and Redefine. Redefine didn't answer me and didn't talk to me at all in this video, and I feel like he was kind of white knighting and wanted to Darth to go and kind of like in front of him, because Redefine is not as eloquent on the mic than Darth is.
Have you ever had any kind of prolonged exchanges with Redefine?
Yeah.
Have you? Okay. Because I've had some comment exchanges with him, and he does a lot of terminology dodging. Yeah, it's very hard to pin him down to an idea.
Yeah.
And then when you think you do, all of a sudden he'll either try to kind of juke over to another side thing, and then once he starts doing that, if it starts to kind of contradict with where he was, and you try to make that connection, he'll disappear from that and start something else. It's just like, I have a hard time, like, and then he'll complain that the skeptic he's talking to is not committing to terms or committing to their points. It's like, I'm not seeing that from you either, so I'm just going to continue to tap dance as well.
I think it's better than, for example, Matt Yester. If you have talked to Matt Yester,
it's interesting. Yeah, I used to talk to him a couple years. Well, I think it was probably maybe 3 summers ago. I remember having a chat with him, and I thought it was kind of weird, at least a little bit. But lately, if I see him in Clubhouse and stuff, I have a hard time understanding what he's talking about.
Do you know why that is? Because I know what that is. He mumbles.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem. Somebody had told me, like, well, he's got a speech impediment or something like that, but I don't recall it being that bad. He was featured. Mike Winger had him featured in one of his videos, and a couple people that I followed would do commentary videos on the Mike Winger videos, and they had Matt Yester on camera talking about stuff. And maybe it was because he was slowing himself down for the presentation, or it was edited. Maybe they slowed it down a little bit in editing. He just seemed a little bit clearer spoken. I turned on a Clubhouse thing. He was on there, I think, with Tone Loc, and he was talking, and I was like, first of all, I don't understand. I don't hear a point being made, but then it was so mush mouthed. I was like, what word was that? Like,
but that's one of the things that I have seen a lot in Darth's minions after being on Clubhouse. Is like most of them do believe the same thing as Darth is, but they are not like half schooled into how to talk to atheists or talk to Muslims or anything, you'll never see, other than I think Tandak has his arguments a little more defined down, but he uses his tone. Funny enough, calling Tandak, but he uses a very like aggressive tone when he think he's being misunderstood. But where I find Darth is like more impatient. I think Darth has become more impatient on Clubhouse than he was on Discord, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, because he's demonstrating it a different way. Because like he had the ability to just chuck people away on Discord, which I mean he does in his own room, but like the dynamic is different enough that he's but yeah, is and it's weird to watch because you can kind of tell like this is not psychologically good for him. He's developed this attitude where essentially anybody that he could talk to that might disagree with him is essentially a TV channel with a program on he doesn't watch. So he just he just rejects it, and it's like that's a kind of it's funny to me because it's the kind of like lazy. It's a lazy kind of entitlement that I see in a lot of older Americans that kind of treat things like that. Like, I don't have to be bothered with that. Go away. And it's like, if you're dealing with these kinds of issues, maybe check your ego at the door and consider getting bothered by something that you would otherwise dismiss, and maybe get worked up. Instead of reacting to it, maybe think about it and allow yourself to be troubled with it.
Very good argument.
All right, let's go forward here. So I see him down there. There's him down there, and I'm wondering when he's going to pipe up in this because I know he's waiting to pounce
pretty soon. My last question is: do you think
hang on.
For people to get people to cry on video? Like,
Fro, you're about to make me cry right now.
Okay, Fro, you got to give Nate an opportunity to answer your question, bro.
So, Fro, I don't know what's happening. I like to think you're being genuine honest, but essentially, there are crappy people in all walks of life. And Gandhi had a quote, right? Your Christ I like. It's your Christians I have a problem with, specifically because of hypocrisy. So if everyone followed the Christian faith as it's written in the Bible, as they actually believe, right? Like even the Christians that you would say do bad stuff, I bet if we went down the list and said, hey, here's the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, meekness, gentleness, faithfulness, self-control. Do you like this? Do you agree with this?
She's here, Nate.
Okay, well, great.
She's here in the audience.
He's in this room. My name is Nina, and I'm the woman.
Okay, everyone stop. I can have this conversation. It's totally fine. But we're going to speak and be spoken to. So there's going to be order. Is that cool? Can everyone play that game?
Nina laughs there. I really love that laugh. It's like, you're going to listen to me. I believe that when I believe that.
Yeah, I think and she's right to laugh because it's like, okay, well, let's see how quickly the tone of this conversation kind of backs what Fro was talking about.
Yeah,
like let's see how
you will
see
her. She gets kicked in the next minute or two. Yeah.
Oh God.
Fro, you ask a very complex question, so you need to hear my answer. And the answer essentially is, even the people that you would say are saying bad and Christian things, I guarantee if we presented the Christian beliefs we all have, they would agree to them. And perhaps they'd be like, yes. And perhaps they'd be like, well, I had a moment of weakness, or I misunderstood. Or maybe some of them would say, oh no, I explain it this way and I justify it. I stand by what I said. And that would be a larger discussion. So essentially, you said one of the reasons you left the Christian faith was because of hypocrisy. And I would say, brother, you know my position. That is a terrible reason to do anything. You should not believe in a deity because of any other reason than you believe or do not believe. So I would say that. So I guess we can continue on. I guess if all parties are present.
So I know this is going to get into that, but I can't let a bad theological point lie like that. If I would agree with him, if the basic idea, okay, so because I've heard this said before, like if somebody like, oh, you used to be a Christian, why aren't you a Christian now? Well, and this is an example for me. One of my reasons, and this is not part of a logical argument, but one of my reasons is I've seen lots of hypocrisy in the Christians that I grew up with, and the reason that that informs my lack of belief, or my belief that there isn't at least an Abrahamic God, a Christian God, is that one of the properties that is, and this has been borne out with conversations I've had with internet Christians, this is a property that is necessary of the Christian God, is this working of the Holy Spirit and this regeneration of the human heart. So these fruits of the Spirit are supposed to be things that not only as a Christian I should have been developing and have been more attuned to identifying in my fellow brothers and sisters in Christ, but I should have been seeing those qualities grow in them as well, the same traits that Nate just rattled off. When I don't see those traits developing, or I see people who are Christian who are in the exact same circumstances as anybody who's a non-believer, you know, they're getting divorces, they're cheating on each other, they're not great with their kids, they have substance abuse issues, they're impatient, they're bigots, that, you know, all of the same kinds of issues that everybody wrestles with, that the Holy Spirit is supposed to provide this sort of regenerating peace that passeth understanding kind of stuff, and it's not there. If you don't see the evidence of that, those fruits of the Spirit, then it calls into question the existence of the Spirit, and it damages the faith. You know, you're going to question, like, maybe this isn't real. So for him to kind of split the difference and be like, look, just because you see Christians behaving badly doesn't mean that should call into question the existence of a God. Right. But it does cause you to call into question the existence of the Christian God, whose Holy Spirit is supposed to render that kind of hypocrisy. It's supposed to start to minimize that. It's supposed to reduce it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't agree with Nate
that
there.
is one. Yeah, and that's one of the biggest reasons why I left Christianity. Is I didn't want to be a part of a bully mentality. I didn't want to be one of those that went around from room to room on Clubhouse bullying people because they didn't believe in God. And that's where I feel a lot of Christians on the Clubhouse. I'm not saying in general, I'm saying on Clubhouse, they are more worried about other people behaving in the way they want to. So, for example, when I said I was gay, it's like I can say that I got at least 20 to 50 messages just about that in the back channel about how I would burn in hell, even though I said I was not practicing. It was tremendously like it was so important for them to like clean that part of me out, almost like not accepting me. And the way that I didn't get accepted, of course, I looked at that as one of the reasons for leaving was because nobody in the religion I said I was a part of wanted me in there. So why should I try to become a member of a religion that doesn't want me there?
Right, and it gets, I mean, it gets worse too. I mean, that's probably the most. I mean, for Christians, that's the toughest one, because homosexuality is something, dealing with homosexual or sexual orientation and anything involving the LGBTQ community is something that they're very bad at, because of that basic issue. I tried bringing this up. Actually, I think I was talking to J. Robin about it. But I was like, you know, if you have an issue where you have a gay Christian, right, who goes to a minister and essentially says, yep, I'm a Christian, I believe in Jesus, but I also am attracted to members of the same sex. So what do I do? If the minister tells them, just don't act on those, you'll be fine, then that person has to wrestle with what Jesus says about the desire for it. And if they, and oftentimes that's where Christians usually whiff on the whole issue. It's like Jesus says in Matthew that if you feel it, you desire it, it's the same as if you did it. So how are you going to deal with this Christian notion that gay is a verb, right? If you engage in the sex, that's what is gay, not your orientation, who you're inclined to be sexually attracted to. They don't want to deal with that kind of thing. Now, some Christians do. Right, that's the whole point of like conversion therapy and stuff. Like, well, we need to burn those evil thoughts out of you, or you need to pray that away, or something like that. They'll engage in it, and they fail. And they consistently fail. So the kind of worst position, I think, is sort of the Mike Winger, the kind of like, oh, well, just don't do it. And then hopefully God won't. It basically is don't do it. And hopefully God won't hold you. He's not going to punish you too badly for the fact that you wanted to. It's like, okay, well, that goes against what Jesus said in the Gospel of Matthew. How are you going to square that?
Right.
They can't.
I've been to Mormon conversion therapy through the Mormon church. I'm still gay, so I guess it didn't work.
You went through some of their little protocol?
Yeah.
Oh my God. They're in Norway?
No, I lived in the States for a year.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. I lived in Houston for a year.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a lot of America. Like if I told somebody like, you know what, come in here. If you want a sip of America, maybe go to Vermont. But if you want to take a fire hose
in Norway, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I know they're international. I just don't know.
Church. Oh yeah.
Okay,
but there's no gay conversion therapy in Norway. I went to the States just for the gay conversion.
Is it illegal in Norway? I know in some.
Yes.
I was going to say in several Western European countries they're just like, nope, that's not going to be a thing. You're not going to do that. So.
At least it was when I wanted to do it. Yeah.
Okay.
That is many years ago. I'm 42 now. I did it when I was 17. 17, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
So
So back then it may not.
Ago.
Yeah, it may have just been unavailable in Western Europe, not necessarily illegal yet. Yeah. There's some states that I think that have made it illegal, but yeah. Yeah, so that's interesting. So you can always tell somebody like, yeah, about those protocols. I attempted those. I'm sure that there's some Christians that maybe they believe in that kind of thing. Like, oh, well, you did the Mormon one. God's not there to cure it. So you went the wrong way.
You did the wrong conversion therapy. Yeah.
This the no true Scotsman kind of fallacy. Like, well, the real thing will really work. Like, well, you show me evidence of that, and I always like it when they have some like the churches that have like the interviews and it's this happily married couple and you can just see the strain in their smiles, it's just like
I also love the argument I heard. Yeah. I also love the argument I heard over and over again. Like this was a choice. And I told them, do you really think that with my kind of belief that I had since I was born, that I was a sinner, that I wouldn't choose to be 110% straight? Like, are you insane? Why do you think I? Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that they try to say, well, that you're choosing the wrong thing to desire, but at the same time, women should dress modestly so that men aren't confronted with these unbidden evil thoughts. It's like, okay, so you acknowledge that for a straight guy, cisgender straight guy who's attracted to women, it's not, it's not necessarily your choice, but but for the homosexual, it's like, well, you have selected poorly. Like, I don't think you understand how choices work.
Yeah. It's not like I knew when I was 7 or 8 that I was gay or something.
Right. Yeah. And to me, I think that's probably, I think especially in like amongst a lot of younger people, that has probably been one of the most profound failings of like modern Christianity, at least in the US, is their inability to really deal substantively with the issue of because they're really bad about accepting it as orientation. They want to gravitate to this whole thing like, well, the reason that we're not about, the reason we reject gay marriage is you wouldn't validate the relationship that a thief has with a with a bank or something like that. It's like, wait, what? Like, they directly compare, like, you're engaging in this kind of sex. Yeah, you're engaging in this sex act is the same as robbing a bank or assaulting someone.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's not. Those aren't the same.
That's exactly the same two things.
Yeah, the fact that they have to go to those kinds of links and make those kinds of comparisons is like, do you understand what you're talking about? Like, this makes no sense. Oh, well.
Anyway.
Okay. Let's see here, because, Nina's about to... She's about to...
And we see it here. Her picture is blurred, so there's clearly been some communication between her and Tom.
Okay, yeah, and that's good. Yeah, if she doesn't want her avatar shown, that makes sense.
we can entertain this for a short amount of time and a longer amount of time if we can be civil. So does anyone want to give a quick overview if we want to air dirty laundry for the world to see?
Hey, before we
the moderator up to speed?
Before we start, if you don't mind, I just want to ask Fro to stay around long enough for me to ask him a question.
And I would like to just say one more thing. Like I've heard atheists say things. Should I judge all atheists based on that one guy? I think you know the answer to that. That's really simple.
Okay.
All right, so catch me up on why Darth and Red are terrible Christians.
Hang on a second, Nate. Nina,
the way you're wording it is
Hi,
you're
Nina.
setting.
Welcome to the
Thank
stage.
you.
Yes, please go ahead.
I don't want to talk about it much because, to be honest, yeah, it was really disturbing, and maybe people don't understand why, or they think I was playing a victim card. I did not know who Darth was. I did not know who any of them were. I heard a really heated conversation. I got heated earlier too, and then I decided I actually want to hear what he has to say. And I was genuinely asking for clarification. And then to be talked like that, all of a sudden, I thought that I was talking to someone who believed in Jesus and cared about being perfect as Jesus asks us to be perfect. And I thought that he would care that he had just spoken that way and said something derogatory to a woman who was a survivor. Yeah, I don't know. I just want to say that.
Yeah, this is the victim card again. Okay.
No,
Moderator.
you know what? You son of a bitch. Listen to me.
Okay, hang on. Hold up. Everyone stop.
First of all, Nina is being completely fair because Darth is being a son of a bitch. I mean, that is like, he's not paying attention to her at all. He's just hearing the like, why should I give a shit about what you've been through? Like, okay, Darth, you've spent weeks complaining about Fro removing you from his channel after you removed him from his own. And that is more important to you than this woman's previous sexual assault. Like, oh boy, we don't need to hear this kind of thing. But Darth's grievances will inform his rhetoric for a month.
Right. Yeah.
This man prioritizes bullshit over anything substantive. So,
and I find it so strange that it's like he's not willing to hear anything against his own worldview. That just proves to me that he's a fundamentalist that doesn't isn't really interested in conversations.
And what I find weird about this is that like he's doing this, I think, just because he wants. I mean, this is how big a son of a bitch that he is, right? There's no real reason for him to do the fact that she's bringing this up. This isn't a threat to him theologically. This isn't a threat to him philosophically. This is just her stance on things and her voicing her personal experience. But he needs to show up here and then be this big a dick.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, this has nothing to do, and this is a perfect example. Like if Nate's like, well, you know what? There's lots of people in lots of different areas that are hypocrites and jerks. Like this guy is actually trying to. It frequently does this. Will justify this behavior towards a fellow Christian using Christianity. He believes that this is perfectly acceptable. Like he's going to put her in her place somehow. In the name of Jesus, even though he's just being a completely uncharitable prick. So yeah, it's slightly different. Like the tu quoque kind of thing, like, you know, all sides do it, sure. But you know what, you can actually see in some groups where someone acts like this and everyone in that group dog piles on them, beats the shit out of them and kicks them out. And in this group, they're just like, well, someone should say something, but maybe not on video. Maybe we should take this private. It has to be 3 witnesses or 2 witnesses or whatever. Like, oh my God, just listening to them wring their hands over how they're going to police their own it's just so aggravating. It's like, look, there's nothing wrong with you calling this guy. Like, you don't know this guy. Like you know that this guy presents himself as a Christian, but as far as I know, he doesn't attend any kind of church. He doesn't act like he could. He doesn't seem like he's got the social skills to do that in real life. So he comes on here and he throws his weight around. Just abuse him. You know, just go after him when he does this.
And I have asked Darth about Jesus many times, and he doesn't like to talk about Jesus. Like it's almost like he doesn't care about Jesus at all, and that baffles me. as a Christian, he should be very occupied with Jesus and not
Yeah.
showing that he cares about Jesus. Like, that proves to me, at least in my head, that he's not really a Christian. But
Oh, like that. Yeah, that famous clip with, that exchange between him and Pine Creek, where Pine Creek is like, "Well, I want to talk about Jesus," and you at some point you hear him like, "Yeah, we got Jesus." Like, for him, it's just like that part is boring. That's not the thing. Sure,
Yeah.
Jesus saves, yada yada yada. That's not the point. The exciting part is where Darth gets to show that he's right online, right? That's all he cares about.
Yeah,
No, I'm not.
I call what Darth does here verbal masturbation. That is more or less what it is.
Yeah, and I think it is kind of he's done this to guys too, but I think it's always a little bit, there's a little bit extra something in the tone of his voice, in the words that he chooses when it's a woman, and that he'll claim that it has nothing to do with misogyny, but it's like, you've got some problems.
Yeah. Anyway.
I'm gonna stop. I want to say one thing. Darth, tell me where you live and tell me who you are, and I'll.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
well,
as far as
well,
civil
she
rights,
got
Darth,
bumped off the stage.
well, no, because I didn't let her finish that response.
That was quick.
Yeah.
I don't understand what about that warranted her getting kicked. Like, she's not saying he has to say it online. And I don't know that she's entirely serious in the request either. So.
Right. She's super angry, and she has every right to be angry. And Maya, I also really, really like her. She's become a very good friend of mine.
Yeah, I would.
She's
I would like to talk to her about, like, because I'm not really interested in doing it as like a policing thing, but when she was talking about like taking shit from atheists, I was kind of like, maybe I'm just being a gossip monger, but I'm like, oh really? Who's like, who's being a dick on here? Point them out. But more to the point, I don't really even need to know who they are, but if she believes that kind of thing, there's something almost comparable to like the kind of Darth level nonsense happening on an atheist thing, I kind of want to hear what the arguments are. Like, what is she, like, rhetoric wise? Like, I don't need to know who they are. I don't need to go after them necessarily.
Right.
I think Nina can stand up for herself in terms of that group.
She can,
but like, what are they? What are they presenting? What's the attitude? Like,
Right.
Are they just going personal? Are they just being weird? Are they doing the whole like, I know this about philosophy and you don't, therefore you're wrong kind of crap? Because I've seen that happen. That's what I'm curious about. Yeah. All right. So she's been kicked. Does she come back at all? Do you know? I'm asking for spoiler.
She doesn't.
No. Okay.
Spoiler. No.
I didn't think they'd let her back in, but yeah.
So this is crap. I think if everyone is a reasonable adult, I don't care what has happened in your life. I asked for a civil discussion, all agreed, and we didn't make it 20 seconds. So this discussion is done. Darth, you're totally free to talk about anything else. And by the way, for the record, before when someone tells me I'm a terrible Christian, the policy here in this room and kind of my life is, if you're respectful and civil around me, you're welcome around me, and I'll respond in kind. So I don't care.
Can I find that kind of weird? I don't understand that. I don't understand that, Nate. Like, I'm talking to Nate here, like he's listening, but I don't really understand this argument. I think if he finds out, like, if his best two friends are pedophiles, and he still thinks it's okay to surround himself with pedophiles because he didn't do it to his kids. That's
right.
a terrible argument.
The other thing is interesting. Like, for me, if I'm hosting one of these things, like, I don't care if things are getting a little heated. I don't care as much. Like, if somebody's disrespecting me and it's my own thing, like, up to a point, like, if they're not going to let me talk or they're going to keep interrupting me, that's obviously going to irritate. That irritates everybody. But I'm less concerned about that than I am about it's my show or my group, and I've got one person being completely disrespectful to another guest. That bugs me. And what Nate did here is he picked sides, whether he wants to admit it or not.
I agree.
Nina goes, but Darth stays, and he's like, and his justification is, well, Darth, as long as they're willing to be cordial to
nice
me.
hair.
It's like,
I don't care.
but Nina wasn't saying anything, I think, that was particularly aggressive or rude to Nate either. So by his standard, I think he should have removed them both, but he only removed.
I agree.
And was he the one that removed Nina, or was it one of the? Well, yeah, he's the only one in here with a.
Yeah.
Or well, it could have been this.
Matt has it, but Nate said that he removed her. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's odd. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care what third-party story I hear from some other room. If someone says you've done some atrocious thing, I don't care. If you come in here and you're reasonable and you're respectful, you're welcome here. I'm not blocking anyone. I'm not auto-booting anyone. That's nonsense. So if you can't handle yourself somewhere else, that has nothing to do with me. If you can't handle yourself here, that has something to do with me. Yeah, so anyone is welcome to talk about anything they want. Not that subject. That's done.
Hey, I have a question for Fro if he's still here.
Sure, go ahead.
Before I answer that, I do think that one of the things that annoys me with Darth is that he gets very over emotional with people in general. And if he's willing to talk about that, I would like to have that discussion first, because this is not the only time we've seen him bashing people for no reason.
No. We're not going to talk about it. Nope.
Oh,
that sounds like something better for a private room.
Are you scared of that conversation?
That's not something we want to talk about.
That is a false accusation.
No, it's not.
Okay.
I've been.
All right. Hey,
guys. I said
Fro.
I'm not going to answer any question before Darth does.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it has to do with Darth.
Well, you may not get a
since
to answer another question.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Not now.
No personal attacks. You know what's going to happen,
license. Right? Yeah, since Fro is giving license to making accusations without basis, well, then I can start accusing you without basis, Fro. Okay.
Which we won't be doing here, though.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad.
So I think it's interesting that Darth is throwing out the idea like, okay, well, you are accusing him of being overly emotional without basis when it's observable that he gets overly emotional with many people. He's admitted to being, when he admits that it's a failing of him, a personal failing, that he starts using strong language, as he puts it. He doesn't say, like, you're using vulgar language, my friend. You're using vulgar, foul language and swearing at people because you're quote unquote in the flesh. So he's admitted to it. I don't know that he's admitted to it while he's been in on Clubhouse. I'm sure he's told people that he gets assertive or whatever. But on Discord, there's plenty of examples of videos where he's on there saying, yeah, I need to watch my language a little bit more. And sometimes I do get a little aggressive. I get a little turned up. Like, okay, well, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, that sounds like you are either getting emotional to the point of you are getting out of control. And that was what you pointed out. And he's like, oh, you've just accused me of that out of the blue. Like, there's no evidence of me doing that. Like, you've admitted to getting a little out of control. Come on.
Yeah.
And at that point, that for Nate, if he watches, if he's curious, that level of just blinkered self-awareness almost borders on him being disrespectful to you, Nate, as a host. Because Darth doesn't really have a lot of respect for himself. He certainly didn't have any respect for Fro when he decided to go on that little act of self-apology. That's his little apologetics tour, and this is how Darth defends his behavior. Like, I'm always cool, calm, and rational. Cool as a carrot. I'm like, okay, sure. That's why you went after Tom Rabbit years ago for posting those videos of you losing your mind and yelling at kids, sometimes 12 and 15-year-old kids. And then when you had these outbursts and they were recorded, he would then have outbursts later on that people recorded them and he wanted them removed and deleted and never talked about again. We have no evidence at all, Darth. Nobody. the guy that takes credit for being online for a decade talking to people about this, it's like, yeah. And you know what that comes with? Baggage, Darth. Lots of baggage.
That's one of the things that I kind of want to do. Not now, but in the future, is like have a compilation of him talking like against himself, like find contradictions in what he has said through the years, and I'm sure it's pretty easy to find.
There's a YouTube user, and I think he's on Clubhouse as well. His name is Darth Dawkins Debunked.
Yeah.
And I think he's an older guy, but he built a quiz, and it's basically designed. I'll give you. It's designed to be intentionally frustrating, but it's built around those kinds of contradictions, where he'll be like, okay, what does
Right.
Darth think about X? It'll be multiple choice. Whichever one you pick, it's wrong. And he gives a video example of him saying the opposite, but you can go back and answer the question a different way, and it does the same thing. And it's a different
That's
video
so
showing
funny.
it.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
it's been around for a little while. He's yeah,
Cool.
he's had that up for a little while. He's got a website of it too, but he's on YouTube. If you look up Darth Dawkins Debunked, it's got links to that if you want to play around with it. Yeah, I've done it a couple of times, and each time it was just too infuriating. I'm like, I can't do it. It's too much Darth. It's too pure.
So, all right, if Fro's not going to answer whatever
I have
question the other
proof,
guy
though,
asked.
so
Okay. Fro, no. All right, so
what?
Brojo, you are brand new here and have no idea what we're destroying the room with. So do you happen to have a question about Christianity?
I don't understand why Nate booted you.
I don't know.
That's odd. I think he was just getting frustrated with the tone of everything, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't like this. I mean, because Darth, this to me is one of those things. Darth shows up and turns up the tension in the room, and Nate is checking off people that are possibly irritating Darth. So that makes me a little bit suspicious as to Nate's motives. I'm not trying to say that he's a bad guy. I just don't think doesn't seem to be demonstrating very good judgment or fairness here. So.
Darth Dawkins is the greatest debater.
Oh, crap. Oh, okay. I was just waiting for some like tirade to happen.
For full disclosure, he was paid to say that.
Let me say it this way.
Oh, you're back,
John.
okay.
I'm not going to pretend that everybody in Islam is perfect. I know that's wrong. You know that's wrong. Everybody in this room knows that's wrong. Exactly like Christianity. There's no perfect Christians in Christianity, right? So, I mean, I appreciate your concern, but for me, it sounds like you're sitting and throwing stones in a glass house and not at all looking at your own religion, what they have done bad. And I do appreciate that you're worried about my soul and things like that. But it's hard to have a communication with somebody that hates your religion. And I don't hate the Christian religion, just to make sure. I hate people in Christianity because they are being douchebags, but that doesn't reflect my opinion about Christianity. Just
Well, hopefully
like
you aspire not to hate it all, right?
Sure.
Can I pull you in a private room?
When did this conversion take place? The last I heard from you, you had just converted to being a Christian.
I'm a sinner like everybody else, and I'm definitely not talking to you.
Well,
hey, bro.
Good call.
Why not?
Very good call.
I'm like, nope, not interested.
Well, it doesn't. I mean, the fact that he's
yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, it tricks me into talking to him anyways, but I was like, I'm not interested in talking to you. I think you're a son of a beach.
Yeah, the fact that he brings up like, wait, you're a Muslim now? Like, last time I heard, that's like, well, what difference does that make to you, Darth? You didn't believe he was a Christian back when he's
right.
Like, what are you surprised about? Yeah, I thought you had him. I thought you had all these people figured out. Yeah. Oh, Darth, the gift that keeps giving, especially this holiday season.
Pull you into a private room real quick.
You're more than happy to do that, John. Of course.
All right. Have I offended you?
Well, both of you guys come back when you're done if you like. You're
I appreciate
welcome
that.
here.
I would love to talk to John.
All right.
I'm
Well,
wondering,
sounds like
Fro,
he's
why is
inviting
it
you.
that you don't want to talk to me? What did I do to you?
Because you're a tremendous big asshole.
Okay, well, wait a minute. Did I offend you personally? Did I wrong you?
Yes.
How did I wrong you?
You threw me off my own stage.
Oh, wait a minute. As I recall, you were an atheist. You converted to a Christian. We had that altercation. Then we had a decent conversation where we resolved our differences. Do you recall that?
Yeah.
Okay, so when both of us decided that we were at peace with each other, were you telling me the truth?
Definitely not.
Oh, so you were lying to me.
Yes.
Okay, so you're a liar.
Yes. So are you.
Sorry.
Don't you love that? Yeah, I love that. I love that he brings up that, like, oh, you and me, we were good buddies, and I go, yeah, sure, I pretended like that. Yeah. Oh, so you lied to me? Yeah, I did.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. Sure I did.
Deal with it.
Now what?
Yeah, no. You know, plenty of other people in here are lying to you too, Darth, just to go along and get along. So yeah.
And I also tell him, and you lied to me as well.
Perfect.
I love that. We're all liars. Nobody's
Okay,
perfect.
no, sir. Let's not bait and switch here. We're talking about a
Do I
specific
bait and
instance.
switch?
If you want to indict
me,
me of lying in context of dealing with you, go ahead, do so. But to sit there and just say, "Well, we're all liars in general," the point is this.
That wasn't your point.
Nope.
At no point did you say
all.
Yeah, you didn't say Christians in general are liars.
Nope. I said he was a liar.
Right.
Yeah.
But you must be, if you accuse Darth of something bad, you are besmirching all of Christianity because he represents
all of Christianity. Because you have to remember, Jesus Christ and Darth is the same.
Same guy. Yep.
Yeah.
It's this order. There's Yahweh, Jesus, Darth, Apostle Paul, the other apostles.
Yep.
You told me clearly that we resolved our differences, but now you told me that was
yes.
So now you're telling me this without you were scamming me.
I'm telling that I lied to you. Yes, I didn't forgive you.
Okay, and so you've gone from within a matter of weeks, you've gone from going from an atheist to claiming you're a Christian to now you're a Muslim. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Wow, that's a first one. I've never heard that happen before.
Well, okay, cool.
Has John invited you to that room yet?
Everything, I guess. Was it anything else, Darth? I can help you.
I'm just wondering why you would believe in the God of Islam.
That's great. We've established that I was lying to you and leading you on. Next.
Next, yeah.
Now it's gonna be like, that. Okay, well now he's gonna have to be like, all right, well, it's Allah versus Jesus. Which one's gonna win? Yeah, oh boy.
Ding ding ding. Yeah.
It's interesting to me though. I mean, he's taking this relatively well. The fact that you lied to him, he took it kind of well. Now he's going to get back and like, well, you know what? You can't be rational because you're denying Jesus, right?
Right.
And you can just be like, all right, I'll admit that you're right there. Wait, what? Yeah, I'm lying to you again, Darth. You see, you keep falling for it.
That is what I should have done. It's like, got you.
he can't. Darth has shown that he can't handle that. You know, I mean, Jay Robbins showed that with the Pine Creek, you know, with Doug and Pine Creek, the same kind of thing. Because he's just like, okay, well, what if I just convert right now? Like, because oftentimes they'll try to do that. Like, well, you should just accept. Okay, well, all right, let's say that I do. I accept it. Wait, what? I'm like, wait, wasn't that the goal here? Didn't you want me to accept it? I'm like, yeah, but I don't believe you. I'm like, then why are you talking to me again?
Yeah. Didn't you want me to convert? Wasn't that the whole thing? Yeah.
It's like, maybe this is why, like in some church organizations and stuff, the idea of ministering to people and talking them through a new conversion and stuff requires something like training Maybe they have a background in counseling. They definitely have a background in theology, but they know how to like kind of gauge this and see if the person's willingness to convert or their acceptance of the theological statements are true. You know, they can kind of distinguish a genuine conversion from a fake one. They're not a dilettante online trying to do this remotely. It's like, of course, you'd be skeptical of anyone that you talk into this, which means you've put yourself in a terrible position from the start. Like this is not ministry. Then, if you're doing this because you're defending the faith and you're doing it online, the whole point of this is that if your position wins out, then someone would convert to Christianity. Like, you know what, you're right, and I accept that, and I'll go forward. If you, as the Christian, your initial reaction is nothing but skepticism to someone whose mind you possibly just changed with the power of the Holy Spirit you claim to believe in, you're now skeptical of that. You've put yourself in a position of blaspheming the Holy Spirit while it was supposedly working through you, which is a hell of a self-own. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I find that I find that kind of interesting myself, even though I was convinced at that moment because of my issues. It's not like, who cares? Like who cares if I converted to Islam in 4 weeks? Like, okay, I saw an argument for it. I turned that way. Like, why do you care? You don't believe I was Christian in the first place.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway.
And it's interesting too, because he's not going to ask you like, oh, okay, well, what did you hear coming from Islam that kind of led you that way, as opposed to what you'd heard from Christianity, right? Like,
I will say that this video is very heavily edited by Tom, because there was a huge conversation in the middle there that was cut out with a lot of like statements against Islam from one of the moderators in the room that showed a very disgusting image on stage of the people being killed, head of pictures in the chat. So I understand why Tom had to edit a lot of it out. Anyway.
When in Surah 4 and 5, he cannot even get a correct representation of the Trinity when the doctrine of the Trinity is condemned. Can you please explain that to me?
Have you read the original Arabic text?
Okay. Have you? Now we have many English translations.
I find this odd. Like, you ask him a good question, like, because he's going to say, well, the surah doesn't do these surahs don't do X, Y, and Z. Great.
Right.
You mean in Arabic or in English? Well, and then when you ask him, have you read the original Arabic? Have you? That has nothing to do with it. You're the one bringing up textual criticism. Like, Darth, you were the one that wanted to go into let's critique the Quran line by line. That's some weak sauce from Darth Dawkins.
Yeah.
Of the Arabic, there are many of them, and they all of the translation reflect the same concepts. Now, in Surah 4 and 5, the Quran is condemning the doctrine of the Trinity. Okay? In these passages in Surah 4 and 5, it misrepresents, it inaccurately represents the historical doctrine of the Trinity in at least two ways. It indicts the Christians for believing and taking three separate, discrete gods. Christianity has never taught that, ever. Okay? Number two, it's indicting the Christians as taking Allah, who is representative of the Father, Jesus, and Mary as those three gods. Historical Christianity has never taught that, even including Roman Catholicism. So what we have here is a glaring, unequivocally clear historical blunder on the part of the words of Muhammad. What's your response to that?
I don't have a response to that. Do you know why? I'm not a Muslim scholar.
You don't have to be a scholar. We have many English translations. Okay.
You don't have to be a Muslim scholar. What you have to be, you have to have read an English translation of the Quran and then go online and pretend like you are a Muslim scholar, Fro. That's what Darth expects from everyone.
Ah, that's what I did, Fro.
Yep.
Gosh. Okay. Thank you for telling me.
You don't need any of these pointy-headed intellectuals in their ivory towers telling you
No,
how to read
no,
shit. No, never.
No. Right.
That all reflect the same thing. I've talked with people who are fluent in Arabic, and we've gone over a variety of English translations, and nobody has ever objected to that. This is an ad hoc maneuver that you're pulling. Dog ate my homework.
Okay, so if I this is a terrible idea. Like, okay, I know someone who speaks and reads Arabic, and I asked them about how they think this is translated. Like, the person that he was talking to, was that person a scholar of Muslim studies, of Islamic studies? Are they qualified to do textual criticism and translation of that? Like, this seems really weird, because like even my brief exchanges with some people who are from the Middle East and are capable, because many of them could speak whatever dialect of, they could speak Arabic. They probably had another dialect. They spoke English. They weren't necessarily, especially if they came to the United States when they were young, they weren't that great at reading or writing it. Arabic is a really hard language to learn to read and write in. And even then, it's like, I wouldn't go to them and be like, hey, I need to get from you the definitive understanding of what this surah means. Most of them would just push back on that, like, what? No, you need to go talk to an imam or something. I'm not qualified to do that just because I speak the language. Yeah, this is pretty sad.
So that you don't have to address a monumental historical blunder. Okay. So you can check it out for yourself. Would you like me to read you the relevant passages?
No, I would like to look it up if you don't mind.
Yeah, Surah 4 and 5. Okay.
Yeah, I will look that up, Darth, and I appreciate I appreciate your help.
Hey, what is Surah? Is that how the Quran does their chapters, or is that a book?
Surah is a chapter. Ayah are the verses. Surah.
Yeah. Anyway, John really wanted to talk to me, so I'm going to talk to him right now if I can find the room he started.
But yeah, come back if you like, or ping him if you can't find the room.
Okay, I will see you all later.
Okay, so it's pretty clear to me now that what we're dealing with Fro, okay, based upon what I just heard.
He's getting talked to and fro. I'm sorry.
No, we have somebody who jumps from one worldview to another to another within a matter of days, right? And he also absolutely is completely disingenuous when he's dealing with people. Okay.
Wow. Completely disingenuous. Yeah, you probably shouldn't have admitted to lying to him. Now you're just a liar that lies all the lying time, Fro.
Yeah, I know. I'm such a liar.
Yeah. Maya, I can't believe he was that nice to him. I'm a little surprised he didn't blow up. I think maybe because Nate was willing to kick Nina. Maybe Darth feels like he's pretty secure.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And if you've been through, if you're curious about religions enough to kind of like go through them and dabble in them a little bit, and you're like, yeah, I think maybe leaning Christian. Yeah, I think I might actually be leaning more Muslim because of what I've read and seen. Yeah, for somebody like Darth, that's not going to work, because he's a certainty guy.
I also love what Michael says, that Fro leaves the room, Darth starts gossiping. Yeah. It's like, he didn't want to tell that to my face, because holy moly, that would be awful.
Oh yeah, then you'd start crying, and then
yeah.
Kidding.
Whatever would I do?
I just found that video where Darth made Nina cry, and it's unlisted with her requesting some level of anonymity in the comment section. Okay, so yeah, he just unlisted it. So that makes sense. Why Nate isn't doing anything to address Darth conclusions on Fro? Yeah, that's kind of odd.
That's
right?
also
Yeah,
question.
he's not really. That's a good question because he's not really pushing back on that. He's just like, oh, Darth's gonna characterize Fro as being, oh, he's disingenuous. Like, was he? Like, gossiping is a sin, right? Oh,
It is.
Yep. Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
But it doesn't stop these sewing circles from going into the wee hours of the night. So sin is fun.
Sin is fun.
Because
indeed.
we had a lengthy conversation, and there were other people there at the time, where we resolved our differences, and we both agreed that we would put to rest whatever differences that we had, and that we are at complete peace with each other. And so now he's admitting that he's a brazen liar. So we can't trust him anymore. Did you get that, Tom Rabbit?
You're a brazen liar. Well,
I am.
You're in good company, Fro. At least you're not a troll. My brother and I, we have been labeled trolls by him, and probably the gratuitous kind, to call back to what he was talking about before. Not just any troll, but gratuitous trolls who troll for the trollingness of it. Yeah, that's me. No, that's pretty good. So, any final words to wrap that up? Anything that you want to get out?
No. I guess the only my question to you is, how could I have done that interaction better, you think?
I don't think that you could have, given where you're coming from, and given what you've been through. You've been kind of exploring Christianity, you've converted, you've explored a little bit the Islamic side, converted, to whatever degree that Christians or Muslims are satisfied with your level of conversion or the quality of it or whatever. That's up to them. But then, and then now you're kind of back into the atheist camp, kind of, leaning away from both of them. I don't think that you could have done any better. I think being bluntly honest with Darth like that is the best way to go. And I think that actually did kind of throw him a bit, that you kind of owned the fact that you
that is what I was hoping. I was like hoping that I was 110% honest to him would get him in balanced, and I felt like he definitely was like, what, really?
Yeah, I think this is the strength. I think that you probably have a little bit of that kind of like, I don't know what it is. There's something of a kind of a grit to this, where you're willing to kind of abandon your ego completely and then go at a person, like they're coming at, they're wearing their full armor, they got their sword, they're armed to the teeth, and you're just like, no, I'm going to do something different. And you just put your weapons down, take your armor off, walk up and poke them right in the eye, right through the slit of the helmet, like, boop, and that's, Pine Creek is kind of like that, where he'll just like, you can call him names, and he's had people do that. He's a sinner, he's a degenerate, he's a reprobate, he's all these kinds of things. For him, it does not matter. Like, it's like that's for him, he can kind of look at it and it's like, from your side of things, you have to make these conclusions. You've admitted that this is your worldview. I'm not going to get worked up about it. And then he'll sort of just accept that. Yeah, okay, I'm a liar, I'm a cheat, I'm a sinner, I'm irrational, whatever. He'll just sort of concede that and then be like, okay, so what's your move now? What do you do now that you're in this position of pointing out how I was wrong about this stuff? Now, do you want to help me? Do you want to help me get to where you are? And then that's usually where, because I think like what you were doing, like when you just admitted that you kind of lied, at this point, he wants to do like a Christianity versus Islam thing, right? Now, if he were to run into you, I don't know what he would do. I wouldn't be surprised if he just avoids you. If I were him, I would be a little bit nervous talking to you.
He's blocked me, so.
Yeah. Okay. So
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I don't think he could have done anything different, or done it any better. I think these guys get thrown off when people don't try to. What's the term I'm thinking of? Kind of spare their own egos when they don't see that mentality in the person they're talking to. I think it really throws them off. because a lot of what they're doing, and I find it kind of odd. It's been pointed out by people who are better at this stuff and smarter than me, who have pointed out to these Christians that they demonstrate a lot of pride when they're online, and maybe they're not supposed to. And that I know when that observation gets made, they kind of writhe around like somebody's like a possessed person's head holy water cast on them. Like,
I also strangely feel like one of the ways of handling Darth is playing on his kind of premises. It's like I think one of the things is like, for example, I never understood and I will never understand the presuppositional argument for God. I don't accept it because it does presuppositionalize something I don't agree with. So I think that when I've tried to like talk to presubs after I converted out of Islam as well, it's like how can I show you from your point of view that I'm not totally insane? And I think that is kind of the things that you can talk to Darth with. Like if you agree to his statements, that is totally okay. But then you can say to him, well, okay, how can I show you there's no God? And it is impossible because he does presuppositionalize God. So he will never conclude that God exists. So it's such a hard argument to kind of interact with, because they're coming there with a statement that you don't even agree to.
Yeah, and they've been sort of shorthanding it. So more and more, it's about like we're in the rational position because we acknowledge a creator God, and that's a common sense position for most people. You, Captain Skeptic, need to tell me why you're so smart and thinking that there just isn't one, that a God doesn't exist. And they've shifted. They've been shifting the burden so much, and this is really a sign of how weak things like this have gotten in their position. Because if you're a Christian and you come to me and tell me, and I hope I give this impression, I may not, but if a Christian tells me that the reason that they, if I ask them why they're a Christian and they tell me they essentially believe the Bible, right? They read the stories of the Bible, they believe them. They might have their doubts about the validity of all the stories in there, of every little detail or whatever, but they read this. There's something about the fact that these stories are so old and they contain a lot of these themes, and they seem to contain some wisdom in some places. They're difficult in some other parts, but they're inclined to think that there's something there, and that's reason for them. That's reason enough for them to believe in a higher power, and it's Jesus, and they start getting into the theology of that. Fine, right? If somebody's presenting that reason to me, that's great. There's nothing that I'm going to. Those are their reasons for why they're a Christian. They're not convincing to me, and we disagree. But I don't have to like condemn them for that, right? What a lot of these guys are doing is, I want you to give me your reasons for being an atheist, and then as soon as you're honest and you're like, well, the reason that I don't believe in the God that you claim to exist is because I think that it's made up. I think that it's just a story, or it's just a concept, or I think maybe other God explanations are better, or maybe the fact that maybe you guys are really worshiping the universe, and that's maybe pantheism is true, and you guys have just anthropomorphized it and turned it into kind of a king. Any of these kinds of reasons you could give them, they will condemn, like, no, your reasons are stupid. You're out of your mind. That's not a valid argument. Like, I wasn't giving you an argument. You asked me for my reasons for why I doubt. That's why. So yeah, and it's like when you asked me for your reasons for why you believe, I was content that, yeah, okay, you've read the Quran and it leads you to think that Allah is real and that there's something to this. Great, you've read the Hebrew Bible. That's why you were raised in that tradition. That's why you're Jewish. Okay. Those are your reasons. If you're going to turn around and say, well, the reason that God is true is because he wrote a book, and the reason we know the book is true is because God wrote it. If you're going to try to construct arguments built out of that and blatantly question beg, don't be surprised if people call you out on it. But that's not their reason that they believe. The reason they believe is that there's these stories about God, and they think they're true. That's it. So
yeah, and I find a lot of their arguments very like circular, and it seems like every argument they have is like built on the assertion that God exists, and that's it doesn't feel like it's an argument. It doesn't feel like it's an argument. It feels like it's just okay. I'm going to state something to you, and it doesn't have to be a fact, and we're going to build a worldview on that statement. Like, okay, why would I care? Like, why would I care about that statement?
And I think that's the problem of them being like, especially in, I don't know if this is the case for like Catholics or Eastern Orthodox, especially in places other than the United States, but the flavor of Christianity that's kind of coming out of the evangelicals has been this sort of obsession with certainty. And I think it's partially because they've been so sensitive to things like criticisms coming from the atheists. That, you know, it started with sort of the new atheists like Hitchens and Dawkins and that kind of stuff, and those introduced lots of different things that ended up becoming cliches, but it still persists. You know, they're still fighting on these grounds. But the idea that if you should be confident enough in your Christianity to accept the fact that you can doubt it. That should be, that to me, that's a sign that, like, if I'm talking to somebody who's like, you know what, maybe whoever wrote the Gospel of John got this part wrong. Maybe it's not quite like that. Maybe salvation, we don't have salvation figured out. Maybe it's not like the Council of Dort, or whatever they are. You know, maybe it's not lined up exactly that way. But I still believe that there's a God. I still think that this narrative has something to it, and I'm content to hang on to that. But you're right. Every once in a while, I have doubts, and I have, like, perfect. You can't argue. You know, if somebody presents that, it's just like, this is my outlook on it, and that's it. Okay, great. But when I hear people who get this angry and this worked up, it tells me they're very insecure about doubt. And I think that is just an intellectually poisonous thing to do if they really value this reason and logic and the way that we go about things. If these are truly God-given, then doubt's a component of that. And the fact that they equate it with sin, I think, is telling.
Yeah, I think if you ask Darth Dawkins if he believes in God, and Darth says yes, I don't really think Darth understands the meaning of belief. It's like belief is not being 110% certain. Like, I believe in a lot of things, like, and I don't. That's maybe why I don't qualify him as a believer of Christianity. It's more like he has made up his mind, and nobody's going to ever talk him out of it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and it sort of works out now the way. Yeah, if he demonstrates as if it's a rational, it's rationally inescapable, and because he acknowledges it, he deserves salvation. That's the impression I get from it, and I think that that's dangerous. It's like, you do not get, like, if you're inclined towards any of the stuff theologically that's coming out of Christianity, the fact that you, like, I could acknowledge that there's a Christ, that Christ is real, and then reject him, just like Satan. You know, sure, there's a Jesus. Sure, he died for everybody's sins. Do I want that? No. I'm sprinting towards hell, and there's nothing that you can do to stop me. So I really don't understand this idea that he's like, no, it's rationally inescapable. By acknowledging that and then surrendering to God, then you'll get it. Okay, but there's plenty of people who are just as rational who don't surrender to it. And then you would say, well, no, it's irrational for you to do what would it be? Would it be irrational for them to pick the losing side? What if they want to lose? You know, he doesn't have arguments for things like that theologically. It's all based on this. I'm right. This follows. If you accept it, then you're on the good side. If you reject it, well, here's a bunch of weird arguments that I can bring about to show you how irrational and crazy you are to deny it. Like, deny it how?
It would be funny if we had a person that did it, like you said, agreed to everything, said that God exists, and then said, but I don't care. Well, like,
yeah, right.
What would Darth say then? Like,
or if somebody comes to the conclusion that I did, right, reading, because I had these discussions with an atheist that with a Christian that I believed in, and as we would discuss different points of theology and stuff, and he was kind of the Reformed school of things, we would discuss it back and forth. He's since kind of deconverted from Christianity, but I had kind of developed an idea. He's like, because he asked me, he's like, when you read this stuff, especially the New Testament, and you read some of the claims in there, are you inclined to think that he's like, because you were raised in church, are you inclined to think that it holds anything for you at all? And I said, yeah. Narratively, for me, this works out if salvation is based on God's faith, God being faithful to his creation, Jesus reconciling us with himself, and then kind of just pissing off and disappearing and letting us live out the rest of our natural lives until he changes things. And it's not about our faith. It's not about our propositions. It's not about us coming to the right conclusions. It doesn't matter if you're Hitler. It doesn't matter if you're Mother Teresa. All this stuff is going to get settled after he comes back. And as far as his salvation, kind of a universalist kind of take on it. He saved everybody because that's entailed by his power and his sacrifice. If that's the narrative, I can totally, and when I told him that, he's like, well, that's not really a bad message. I'm like, no, I think it's a better message than what a lot of Christians are willing to accept. But my problem is, I said, and this is the reason why I guess I have to remain an atheist. Name a church where I will be accepted following that gospel. And he's like, oh, yeah. And it was totally, he's like, yeah, you're right, because you'd be a heretic in any group that you're with. I'm like, exactly. So I'm like, I'm willing to accept it hypothetically. Like, I think that narrative, to me, that squares the narrative, that makes it more consistent. But there's lots of stuff in the Gospels that conflicts with what I think. There's stuff that contradicts my ideas, just like I can recognize that there are things in the Gospels that contradict the already established theological ideas of having to say that you're sorry, of having to repent. There's examples in the New Testament where that's not the case. You don't have to, repenting isn't something that gets you salvation, So, sorry, I went on too long.
There's a comedian called Bo Burnham that has written a song called "From God's Perspective," and the lyrics in his song says, "The books you think I wrote are way too thick. Who needs the 1,000 metaphors to figure out you shouldn't be a dick?" And that is one of the most profound lyrics in a song I have ever read in my life. When I heard that, I laughed for an hour at least, because it felt like he was pointing to a thing that I didn't think of, and then it also it says later, you're not going to heaven. Eat 1,000 crackers, sing 1,000,000 hymns. None of you are going to heaven. You're not my children. You're a bad game of Sims. I love that. It's such a good song.
That's so dark.
Yeah. But it's so good though. It's like I understand where he comes from. Like the point of view of Christianity is like this brimstone and hell thing that they are presenting was so hard for me to believe. Like I even said it when I believed I was a Christian, that I believed I was an nihilist, someone that believes that we just stop existing.
Yeah,
I'm not saying yeah.
Oh, is it annihilation? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And it's just like it's just so interesting, and like how people will believe that we were going to be tortured by this loving, caring God, and he's going to torture us just because we don't understand Jesus. Like, okay, cool, let him do that then, and I will talk to him about it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, yeah, I think
Thank
that probably
you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a lot of fun. Thanks for asking me about this. Otherwise, I wouldn't have thought to have you on, but I'm glad you reached out. This was a really good, I think this was a good show. But yeah, you're welcome to come on anytime. I know there's a time difference, so that's always going to take some planning. But
I
hopefully,
have no clue what you're talking about. Time difference? What is that?
It exists less for me now that I'm off for the holidays. But yeah, it's definitely going to rear its head when I'm back to work. Yeah.
Can I get to promote one thing before I go?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to hear me talk about religion and other weird things, you can check out a podcast called Another Digital Citizen. That's Another Digital Citizen. You find us on Spotify, on everything, on SoundCloud. We have over 6 years of shows. So if you want to hear what happened the last week with me admitting that I lied to all of people on Clubhouse and why it happened, and
what was the
things
name of
with
your
mental health. Another Digital Citizen.
Another Digital System?
Citizen.
Citizen.
Another Digital Citizen.
Right,
and please check that out on SoundCloud and Audible and everything.
Yeah, I think I've got I'm going to throw that link, the SoundCloud link I'll throw in there, but I think this is you.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Let me post that in the live chat, and then I'll pin it so that people can find it. This is just the SoundCloud one, folks. If you want the other ones, Google them, because it is available on Apple and a few other places. So I'll pin that one up there. I think that's
Another Digital Citizen. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, perfect.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank you so much for having me on. Ping on me if you see a video with me in it, and I will come back and talk to you about it.
Yeah, I think I'm following you on Clubhouse, so if I see it on there, I'll probably jump in the room if it's something that I'm interested in. But at least just to hear you, like maybe cross paths with Darth and tell him that you're lying to him again. It's always fun.
Hey, Darth, guess what? I'm not a Muslim anymore. What now?
Yeah. He'll probably just say, "Are you lying to me?" I'm always lying to you.
And also, if anybody in the audience have a question before I go, I have time to take 2-3 questions, but I have to go in 3 minutes.
Yep, the only one was just clarification. Another Digital Citizen. Yep, that's on there. So yeah, I did pin that on there so everybody can get that one. Again, it's just the SoundCloud one. Google that one if you use Apple or one of the other ones,
Spotify or whatever.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of listeners. We are the world's smallest podcast about the biggest things.
Oh yeah. Well, that's not a bad place to start.
Yeah, no, it's me and my best friend Luke, and the last episode we talked a lot about what convinced me to leave Islam. Good question. So if you listen to the last episode of Another Digital Citizen, you will hear that I was never a believer in Islam. I have something called imposter syndrome or chameleon syndrome or whatever you call it.
The chameleon syndrome?
So,
yep.
Chameleon syndrome, yeah. So I converge to, or if I talk a lot to people or I'm around a lot of people with a Christian faith, I automatically convert to their religion because I want to please them and I want to have a positive interaction with them. Yeah.
Okay. So this is something that you can reflect on yourself doing and then maybe kind of check it, or is it just some kind of
terrible? No, it happens. So it happens only when I have like interactions online or if I'm like the way I converted into for example Mormonism. I had a lot of Mormons around me for 3 weeks, and they talked to me so much that I believed them. Like they had an interaction with me every single day, and it's just like I can't say no because I want to please them. I just want to. I don't really have any core beliefs when I'm with them. So only when I'm outside of everything that has to do with religion, all of a sudden I remembered, like, oh, I'm an atheist. That's true.
You could just kind of shake it off, like, whoa.
Yeah. It sounds a little like I'm crazy. I'm probably crazy, but I get mental health. I have a lot of mental health issues, and I get help with a psychiatrist working on this. And Carlton, you called me quite charming. Thank you. It would be interesting to pick his brain on about different topics. You're more than welcome to do that.
Yeah, I think at some point I should probably throw together like a Clubhouse group if a few other people reach out to me. Silver Star had reached out to me. Well, he asked me to join, and I joined.
Please don't. Please don't.
But I haven't.
Okay,
I haven't.
Can I say something negative about Silver Star because before I know that man needs to yap less and listen more.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I think that might be. Listen. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't judge him for being.
Haiti is down. Is here. Hi, Haiti.
Yep. My Wi-Fi was down. Had I done, I would have just said so. I don't care about upsetting Darth. Yeah. I think most everyone in this audience wouldn't care about. I mean, just as appearing somewhere in the same place would upset Darth. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey,
Peter
Haiti.
says,
I appreciate
thanks for
you being here.
Yeah, thanks, Haiti, for showing up.
Yeah.
Actually, I had someone had asked about Haiti being on the show at one point, and I know she's in the UK, so there's a time difference. But at some point, Haiti, if you
she's in the US.
Oh, is she? Okay, I thought she was in the UK.
Yeah, she has a very cute British accent, but she's in the US.
Okay,
I told her once that if I was straight and she was single, I would marry her. Yeah, you were angry. Yeah. Aw, thank you. Of course, I always stick up for you.
Yes, I was so angry. I thought my friends had stabbed me in the back. Yeah, I mean, if I thought that was what was going on in Clubhouse, I would have been just as ticked off as Haiti. Haiti, let me know. As usual in my, I usually post this, but my email is my username. It's just Jefferson Spatchcock, all one word, @gmail.com. So if you guys want to reach out to me for any kind of shows or anything like that, if you want to be a guest or have just questions or commentary or criticisms, send them that way. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. I hope that we can do something together again. This was pretty enlightening. I'm glad that I'm glad that we got to work this into into his new video, and that kind of puts everything in perspective. So that's good. It worked out well.
Everyone knows that you didn't give Darth mods because he abuses it. Yeah. No, I know. I knew right away that it was Matt that had gave him mod. If he did that on purpose or not, I'm not going to judge him. I talked to him about it, but yeah, I was pretty pissed.
It's kind of like giving like a howler monkey a pistol. That's what Matt did. And then you walk away, and it's like there's this crazy animal running around with a loaded gun. Because he can't. I think it's been demonstrated multiple times that Darth has problems with self-control. So, I mean, he kicked you out of your own channel. He couldn't even distinguish. Like, are you sure you want to pull that trigger?
Yeah. Darth doesn't have any problem. How dare you say that, Jefferson? How dare you?
I make outlandish claims because I don't have a standard for truth. So thanks, Peter, for the shout out for that. All right, folks, we're going to wrap this up. And thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you're subscribing, thanks for liking. Thanks for flagging. If you think that it needs to be flagged, and YouTube should take steps. But thanks to Fro for coming on.
Take this down.
Yeah, it could happen. Yeah. Anyway, thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your what's today? It's a Monday, so enjoy your Monday. If you got time off, enjoy it. If you're at work, try to enjoy that too. Be nice to each other and all that good stuff. So, and we will see you all later.